Welcome to the RC Roundtable podcast, where we discuss the latest RC hobby news, events, model reviews, and a whole lot more. And we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RC Roundtable. Live. Haven't mentioned we were live?
You're here.
You did.
Come on in.
And on the tubes and the Facebooks, you're listening to this on a podcast, you're missing the live show. But,
yeah, you're missing a show and tell. So, again, you're not going to understand anything.
just imagine it in your mind's eye.
Hey, and look at this picture. And look at this photo. And look at this airplane.
Yeah.
Imagine us as handsome men.
Yeah, I'm tall.
This is not science fiction now. All right, well, this is episode 166. Terry, yeah, what's up?
No, I was about to ask, but you were way ahead of me.
Oh.
Hey, Phil.
Yes. Hey, we got peeps already in the chat. All right. Well, let's get this show on the road. Boy, my arm's tired.
No,
you're going to wait for. No. Why don't we do some little chats before we, let some more people show up? They're probably running home, running to their computer. It's 7 o'clock. I don't want to be late.
It's like that kid on Christmas Story or the Red Rider radio show. He's got to run in.
Yeah, Little Orphan Annie.
Yeah, Orphan Annie.
Isn't that the radio show, Little Orphan Annie?
Was it Orphan Annie? I thought it was something else.
It was
a cowboy show.
Yeah,
Red Rider or something, whatever.
I guess I need to watch it again. I skipped that movie this year.
Oh.
Did anybody watch the sequel?
I was going to say there was like a sequel.
A Christmas Story. Yeah, it was on some channel I don't get, but
I've never seen it.
Yeah,
but that was a summer story or something.
Not all right. I don't know.
Anyways, on to
welcome to Siskel and Ebert and Fitz and Terry and Lee.
Yeah, 2 thumbs sideways. All right.
I got your thumbs right here.
I was going to start because it has been a topic here in Houston, but we had some nasty weather come here, and then it headed over to Louisiana. Some of our friends over there, but I don't know how close you were, Fitz, because Pasadena is south and southeast of me, but it was closer to you than it was to me.
It was. Pasadena's, I guess, the next town over or so. So it was close enough to be alarming, but not like next door. But I was at work actually yesterday, and when we got the alerts, we got the emails, and the phone started blasting off. And so I was actually at one point, alerts? Just the tornado warnings, and for about an hour. So I actually ran around in a couple of different windows in our building.
Which is the thing you're supposed to avoid.
Well, I want to know what's going to kill me before it does. So I was looking around, and I never saw any funnel clouds, but it was looking pretty threatening. And it turns out somebody I know, a tornado actually did land really close, like within a mile or so of their house. So there's another guy who works out there said it was also pretty close. He didn't see it, but because all the rain and stuff, but there was some stuff pretty close. So yeah, I know people that were really at ground zero pretty much.
Well, I'll tell you, at around 11 o'clock when the first warning came, I actually did go down into our closet with the cat because it was nasty outside. Stuff was flying around in front of our house, and we have these huge trees out there. So I was kind of worried about debris. So I did hunker down, but nothing like Pasadena. The footage that people have from dash cams and stuff, it was pretty wild down there. So hopefully everybody in Pasadena, any of our listeners down in that area, you're doing okay. And if you're not, if you need some assistance, let us know. We'll try to get the word out for you.
So I'm terrible. I really haven't watched the news. I know at least one tornado touched down. Was there much damage done or what?
Oh yeah. Lots of buildings. Several condos, apartment complexes were trashed. I don't think there were any deaths related to the tornado, which thank goodness.
That's good.
But some injuries, of course. But there's this one video footage of a guy in an RV who, you're way above your center of gravity, super high in an RV, and he grabbed himself, his wife, and the pets, and they just jumped into a ditch. I don't really know the aftermath. They obviously survived. They had the footage, but yeah, it was pretty scary out there. So, guys, take them seriously. They don't care. they do their mess. They destroy things and move on. I wonder if we'll have to check with some of our clubs. I don't know of any clubs down there. Do you, Fitz?
Clubs for
in the Pasadena area?
Not anymore. There used to be one, but they closed down. So as far as I know, there's no RC clubs in that area.
Just kind of follow up with the grants, the disaster recovery grants you can get from the AMA.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Well, good on them.
So what else is going on, fellas?
Is it too early to talk about the Electrostreak project?
Never too early.
It's all you, buddy.
Well, we mentioned last time that I'm participating in the winter build for Electrostreaks for RC Plane Lab podcast, and I got the short kit, and I started on it last weekend. And in the course of, I think it was just Sunday, off and on, probably spent 5 hours total. I got the wing mostly framed up. There's still a little bit more sheeting to do, but a lot of that time was spent finding my materials. And not in this image that you're showing now, but in one of the other images, you can see that I was building the wing on one of those wing jigs that has 2 rods.
It's not in this one. I'll keep looking.
Yeah, maybe it's not in any of the photos I shared, but that was the first time using it. That's something that I got from a estate sale or swap meet or something not long before I left Buffalo. Yeah, there it is. So I've never used one. And interestingly, this one had 1/4-inch rods with it, but the holes in these ribs were 3/16, and I just happened to find in my stash of stuff 2 3/16 diameter rods, so I was able to make that work.
Yeah.
And anyway, it worked out really well, and I ended up making these little spacers that you can see here if you're watching rather than listening, and they just help the ribs go in the right space and keep them squared up until I put some glue on there. But once I had all the stuff, it was easy.
Imagine, if you will.
Yeah.
a rib.
Is that foam board you're using?
Yeah, just Dollar Tree foam board. And the leading and trailing edges are odd size stock. I think the leading edge is like 1/4-inch by 5/16, and the trailing edge is 1/4-inch by 3/16. I didn't have either of those, but I had some 1/4-inch sheet. And I had my old balsa stripper that I've had for 20 years, but haven't probably used in 10 or 15 of those years. So I found it, dug it out, and made my own strangely sized strips for the leading and trailing edge. Worked fine.
Yeah, neat.
Yeah, easier than easy.
Like you know what you're doing.
Some could be fooled into thinking that, yes. So I'll go ahead and say it here because probably by the next time we talk, it'll be a done deal, either a success or a total failure. But the way the plans are laid out for the Electrostreak, you build the right half, you build the left half, you sheet them, then you join them together. They just have like a center rib. You butt join both of those, but there's no carry through spar. It's a spar on the right, a spar on the left, and you butt join them, and then you fiberglass the center section.
There's no little piece of plywood that connects both together. Oh, I think
nope.
There's no dihedral, right? It's just straight wing.
Right. Any dihedrals just because the outer ribs are smaller than the inner ribs. But I'm not sure. But there's no purposeful dihedral. But I absolutely hate fiberglassing the center of a wing because I can never get the monocoat to stick right there. It's super hard. And so I'm trying a different approach here. I'm going to join the wings before I do the center section sheeting, and then try to put a little piece of carbon fiber spar, the flat stuff, across that joint and tie it into the right and left spars. And hopefully that'll carry the load. And then I'll put the sheeting all the way across, and hopefully that'll be as strong at least as the fiberglassing. We'll see. My wing might fold on the first
We
flight.
will. We will see.
But I think it'll be a lot easier to cover that way. But for some reason, every time I've covered a wing that has the center fiberglassing, it always ends up being a mess. You guys have not experienced that?
Oh, yeah, we have.
Okay.
Yeah. But I guess I just get it hot enough where it kind of melts the resin and sticks to it.
Yeah.
You melt the epoxy? Is that what you're saying?
I get it like flaming hot, red hot poker, and just stay down.
Right. So anyway, I feel like I've got a nice start on this wing. I want to continue the momentum. That's the big deal, right? You got to keep momentum. And I guess that's what's good about a group build. You have other people working on the same thing that helps keep the interest going with it.
You mean like Fitz?
I'm getting to that, right? So hopefully the rest of us can pressure him into getting started on his. But that's what's going on with mine. I'm still contemplating what I'm going to do differently because I can't build it specifically to the plans. So certainly it'll have a brushless power system. Well, not even that. I was thinking about putting one of my old Cobalts in there. So I might toy with that. But I got to do something different, right? I don't know what yet. So we'll see. The jury's out. Anyway,
how's yours going, Fitz?
Yeah. How's it going?
Oh, it's fine. It's right in the box right there.
All tucked away, staying warm.
Where I left it. I haven't touched it. Well, I haven't even been home for the past week and a half. So,
where have you been?
I went on a little trip.
Are we jumping on that now?
I was gonna say, do we have some segue music?
I'll tell you about it later. I don't think that was finished, were you?
No, I think I was. That was the gist of it. I started my Electrostreak and you didn't. Is there more to say?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to have time to work on it. I got other projects too that are waiting for me to.
That's not the song you were singing last time we talked about it.
I know. When is it due by? When is
There's no due date. I think they're trying to get all of the maiden flights in in March. Like when springtime for the rest of the world, maybe not in Wisconsin.
Well, see, I'm going. I'll talk to you offline, but there may be some interruptions too in March. So,
are you going away upstate for a couple months? To a farm upstate?
I want to go see a man about a horse.
Yeah. All right. I won't give you too much pressure, but I will jab you in the ribs over it every now and then.
That's fine. I really do want to build it. It looks cool. I never had Electrostreak. I've always wanted one. It's funny is I had Electrostreak kit for the longest time, and I ended up selling it because I figured I was just never going to get to it.
Oh wow!
Same thing.
Yeah.
I had one that was the Great Plains kit. I bought maybe when they were closing them out or something. I remember getting a good deal on it, and I had it sitting on the shelf forever. And then I forget what happened or why I was motivated to do it, but I gave it to my uncle in Florida. And last time I talked to him, he had started it or was going to start it. So I was trying to get him to join us in this build using the kit. I'll have to check in with him and see if he's doing it or not. But it's a simple kit. It's really, I was surprised for having only laser cut ribs and having to do all the sheeting and all the sticks. It went together really quickly. There's just not much to it.
Now, you got to give me some slack. I just got finished building a balsa glider that had more pieces than the Eiffel Tower. So
I think it's bigger than the Eiffel Tower, too.
That thing, it was really, really intricate. So that's there's probably more pieces in the tail of that plane than there's total in the Electrostreak.
Right. And yeah, I get that. You get burnout a little bit. And for me, it seems like every project that involves building 75% in, I'm like, oh, is this ever going to be finished? The first day it's gung ho, let's get going. And then
Fitz, you okay if I show a couple of the pictures of what we're talking about?
Sure.
Because I don't know if you had written your article yet. So
I did. It's written and already submitted. So it's in the hands of the editors, the editor gods at the moment.
The editor. I'm going to try to. You guys keep talking. I'm just going to see if I can grab one of the nice.
I'm looking at the comments because I missed whatever went up while I was yapping.
Yeah, there's a few things in the comments. Some random stuff.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. There's the Minimoa. Not so mini, the giant Moa.
Yeah. There's a Minimoa on just getting ready to go off the bungee launch.
You mean the grabber?
The grabber? Yeah, we had some more issues with it. The first couple of launches, it didn't want to release very well. And so
At all. He'd actually turned around and came back at us, towing the line with him.
Yeah. So it had a nice conversation with the X-Acto knife, and that fixed that problem.
So there's no scale in that photo. What's the wingspan on that thing?
You know what? It's funny. Fitz was like, right, it's not as big as I thought. What do we say? 9 feet? Almost 10?
109 inches, I believe, is what it is. if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So not quite 9.
So yeah,
All right.
It's a little odd is that it's got a actually fairly long wingspan, but the fuselage is kind of short for its size.
I dated a girl like that once.
Wow.
But anyway,
You and me both.
remember those proportions you're talking about for your glider, and then we're going to have some compare and contrast later in the show.
Okay.
There you
So
go.
I'm
there's
planting
a size,
that seed now.
there's
Okay,
a size comparison.
that's nice.
Yeah,
But that doesn't really reflect the hours and hours and the lungs full of balsa dust.
Yeah, it is a lot of pieces to that. It's got a fully sheeted fuselage that's got lots of compound curves. The nose is planked. You've got the gull wings that are partially sheeted with cap strips and secondary spars, triangulated spars. A lot very intricate ribs, some copious use of Windex to get some stuff wrapped around the curves, and just a lot of little things. It was a nice build. It wasn't hard, but it had some issues with the manual a little bit that that weren't insurmountable. Just could make you go pause for a second. It's like, wait, what are they saying here? Okay. And then it's just a lot of pieces. There were a lot of pieces to it. It's actually pretty impressive engineering to the kit.
Well, I will say, being the onlooker, the guys from the Houston Hawks that were flying there at the time were impressed. They had a nice time talking about it, and you seem to spend a couple of minutes chatting about it as well.
Yeah,
everybody likes Fitz, though.
Yeah, we went to the
Go ahead.
I pay them well. So we went to what's normally known as the Scobie field here in Houston, kind of central Houston, but they actually have a glider club there because I guess the Houston Hawks, right, Lee? Is what they're called. Mm-hmm. And so they have a really nice field out just next to the regular RC field. And
yeah, it looked like you were flying. Okay, yeah, your video looked like you were at the control line circles.
We're really close to them.
They're just north of the circles.
Okay.
Yeah, and they have a setup, and they'll often bring out a winch. In fact, one guy had a winch in his car. He just didn't bring it out because he didn't think anybody was going to use it. He just brought it just in case. It's a bit of a project to set up. So the guys are flying their self-launch, and one guy had, I think, a hand launch glider. But yeah, they were actually quite interested in it. Several of them said that was the first one they've ever seen of the Minimoa in the model form to fly. Oh. And so they were real impressed with it. They gave me some hints and tricks, and they were like, hey, there's some birds circling over there. You should try to fly over there. And I launched, and by the time I got over there, the birds were gone. It was sinking. I was like, oh, gee, thanks.
It's a trap.
Well, I got to fly it too.
Yeah, you let Lee, you got to fly the launch too, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Lee got his hand on the sticks for a while. It still needs some tweaking. I think I'm going to take some weight out of the nose. I think it's just a tad nose heavy, but it flew pretty good. And you can read my full review in an upcoming issue of Model Aviation.
Okay.
Sorry,
I just didn't know which one you were going to talk about.
My body's saying it's your bedtime now. My jet lag is still the vestiges of jet lag is still kicking in. So thanks, Lee, for taking the pictures. Some great pictures, and I appreciate it. I was right down to the wire. Basically, it was like that weekend or never, almost.
Oh, right, I remember.
Yeah. It cost him an extra 20.
Yeah, down to the wire.
It was overtime.
So, did you put any cameras on it?
Didn't get a chance. I didn't even think of that, to be honest with you. I should have.
Did you create the flight video yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I guess, I wanted to try a tow. We didn't try it. We were going to try a tow. So maybe I was going to wait until if we could get together and tow it up and maybe add some video of that as well.
Well,
I'll put a camera on.
I'll quickly just touch on this. I don't want to spend too much time, but I got out there at Scobie before Fitz did to fly that Fly Zone Cessna that I rebuilt. I mentioned on a previous podcast. And on takeoff, I could just tell it was tail heavy. I was like, well, I'll make a couple more circles, and I was able to handle it. But I must have had a brownout on our receiver, because on my downwind turn, she started drifting right, and I couldn't get it back. So I had dropped the throttle and brought it back up to see. At first, it was an LVC, and then she kind of snap rolled on me. By that time, I was too low. I was behind a tree, but I brought my Mavic with me. So I found the plane sitting just fine in an open area to do search and rescue, grabbed it. But then I brought it over to Fitz when he was flying the Minimoa, and we got a couple of really fun shots of, I tried to do it on tow because I was hovering. So I got the launch. Did you get to see the launch video?
I'm talking
to you, Fitz. Did you ever get to see the
I did see,
launch?
Yeah.
So I hovered the Mavic Air 2 where he and I were standing, so he could get the launch between he and I. So that worked out well. Then I got a couple of you walking with it, so that might be fun to see. We'll try to do more of that, and if anything else, I was telling Fitz I might need to do some FPV stuff to document his aircraft, or bring Austin with me and have him use his. But I think
like a chase video.
A chase, exactly.
Yeah.
Because we had done that once with one of your reviews, Fitz. Austin was out there at our field, Northwest RC. So.
Yeah, the P-51. He did it.
Okay.
He did did a really good job chasing it around.
Yeah, and then he's chased mine around when we were at the Space City RC Club one time, and he was following my CZ Cub. So anyway, we'll try to get some more in-air footage for your reviews in the future.
You're going to have to design a big Nerf cage to go around that chase quad. Because if you were to crash into that P-51, a foamy ARF, that would be sad, but not a big deal. If you crash into Fitz's 1,000-hour Minimoa, blood will be shed.
But I didn't.
If. Big capital if.
I just want to say his landings were probably more scary.
My landings were scary?
Right, let's look at some comments.
No, I'm kidding, Fitz. I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
All right. Hi, George. Hi, Raymond. Hey, Steve. Fitz, it looks like Raymond's giving you some stuff.
Yeah, man, he's spilling the beans, man. I should have told Raymond that we were on. Yeah, Raymond and I have been doing some horse trading. So, I don't tell him, Raymond, anymore. I would be surprised. He's got a couple of really cool stuff that he's willing to part ways with. So, we were talking the other day how we're going to meet up and that kind of stuff before.
Well, he mentioned some classic Dubro stuff. So, hook me up with some pictures that I can share.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm curious what he's. That was a surprise. He hasn't mentioned the Dubro stuff, so yeah, I'm very interested in that.
All right.
So,
hey, you know what? I saw George. George asked, "Has anybody seen the Sparks Bonanza video?" And I'd like to touch on that if we guys have some time.
Sure.
Take it away.
So, one of our clubs, just north of me, not about 3-4 miles from me, Sparks.
But that's not your club.
It's not my club.
It's that close.
It's that close. It's part of a community center. I think they got a whole bunch of soccer fields, but it's actually very nice. I've flown there before. They had a vintage event there one time. But
really? I've
their
never
club,
been there.
You've never been to Spark? Oh, well, then we got to go up there.
It doesn't look familiar at all. Yeah.
But I digress. I'll get this on. Was it Sunday? It was Sunday this week. We had a plane crash on the toll road 99, which is a big loop around Houston. It's close to me. And I'd heard about it. I was like, wow, I wonder if Sparks pilots who were at Sparks were watching this. Well, sure enough, they were, because guys, they have a webcam on their, and I'm going to see if I can turn this off. Yeah. They have a webcam on their clubhouse. And if you guys look in the left-hand corner, in about 3 seconds, you're going to see the 18-wheeler that comes into the screen. There's a plane behind it. It's a Bonanza. Yeah, he doesn't see the 18-wheeler. He lands on the 18-wheeler, and then he proceeds to fall off the side of the 18-wheeler. The 18-wheeler pulls over, but the plane catches fire. But guys, what I want to tell you is that the guy was not injured. It was minor injuries. He didn't have to go to the hospital, but the guy survived. He had an injury. He lost power and just was not from this area, so he wasn't familiar with the roads and stuff. But because he had a low wing, unfortunately, the same kind of situation we had in Dallas, where the P-63 had no visual sight of the B-17 when it came around, the Bonanza could not see the 18-wheeler. Had that 18-wheeler been a little bit faster, a little bit faster, he probably would have missed it and then pancaked straight down and may have, not had a serious injury. But the good news is everyone's okay. The other cool news is Spark's going to go, they have 10,000 views on this already. If you ever watch a great YouTube channel called Blanco Lirio, Juan Brown does these great NTSB reports. And unfortunately,
you've talked about it on here before.
Yeah, and he did one for the B-17 crash.
Right.
But I'm not gonna say I take all the credit because maybe he got it from some other person. But I did email him and I sent him a link to this video. I said these guys would give you the chance to use it, and sure enough, he posted a video this week and used it. So pretty darn crazy, guys.
Yeah,
pretty darn crazy.
Oh, can you go back? There's one thing I noticed on that video.
Yeah.
If you rewind, see, there's a guy in a plaid shirt next to the Cub.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's funny how he's like looking away.
Well, I think he's telling someone to call for help.
Oh, okay. Because I thought it was kind of odd. It was funny that there's a big explosion. He kind of looks away from it. And like, no big deal.
But this is the part that I like, guys. Write this. This kid caught it before any of the adults. None of the other adults are looking. This kid saw it before they did.
Kid there, huh?
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
But that was pretty darn interesting. So,
yeah, it's amazing nobody was hurt with all that smoke and stuff. That looked really bad. That looked
And that was right after he hit the ground, so he must have got out of there in a hurry.
yeah, I mean, maybe the door was open. He just rolled out. Maybe he did. He's just like, there goes his plane, and he's like, I think I'll stay here.
I know you're supposed to. If you water ditch, you're supposed to open the door first before you land, if I remember correctly. So maybe he did the same thing on the. I don't know.
Could be.
Anyways, that's good for him. He got out. Sucks. Yeah.
Indeed. You said that was a Bonanza?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it was a VTEL Bonanza, wasn't it?
Oh,
I saw the picture correctly. I saw a picture. I'm pretty sure it was a VTEL.
it may have been because I think Wally, who's out of Hooks, I think they brought the plane over to David Wayne Hooks to, I guess, to have it inspected, and he took a picture of it.
Oh, neat.
All right. Well, I'm glad we're talking about a full-scale event that didn't involve death this time.
Yes.
All right, so let's scroll through the comments real quick and make sure we're not leaving anybody hanging. Hey, Scott. Hey, Jason. Hey, Steven. So,
we interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
oh my goodness!
What the heck?
Well, hello, guys. RC Roundtable podcast.
It's Mr. McFeely.
Calling in from Southern California.
McFeely?
Is this one of those takeovers?
Do you get this secretly?
Well, hello, Mason. Mason Hutchison. Where nobody else can see who's listening to the show. For those of you watching,
unscripted guest here.
Yeah. For those who can't tell,
call this number and see who answered, and look what I got. I was just trying to call in a pizza.
It's $5 a minute.
Yes, but it had pineapple on it.
Oh.
Well, amazing. Long time no see.
Yeah, long time no see. But I listen to every podcast, so I've kept up with you.
I will say he has, because obviously you are fully aware now that I have been in cahoots with Mason, and he and I were chatting, and he's been very busy, but he was telling us about several of the podcasts listening to, and so I just said, you know what, Mason, let's just sneak you in. Let's talk about Stratolaunch and anything else you want to chat about, and have a mini diversion. And I got the surprise I wanted out of Darian Fitz. So thank you for that.
Nice ambush. Thank you.
I had to take that opportunity on the invitation there to inject myself into the show. Absolutely. Yep. Hey, look at that. There's one big model airplane.
Mason sent me that, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we got to use that for the show."
Oh, yeah.
For people who are listening, we have a great visual right now.
That's right. Yeah. So this is a picture that was taken on the approach end of the runway in Mojave, and I just love the emotion of those people sitting on the roof of the car. I think it's a bunch of kids, and I'm sure that they're skipping school to have this experience. But what a reason to skip school for.
Yeah, right.
Totally worth it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I just wanted to check in with the RC Roundtable podcast and come at you guys from the perspective of a
large scale
turned engineer. Yeah. Here's for the listening audience.
For viewing.
Lee's got a picture of the recent Flight 9 And if you look right there in the middle between the fuselages is our little Talon hypersonic being captive carried. And
nice.
Look at that chase plane, an L-39. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I was just looking at that. Yeah, I was like, "Ooh, fancy."
Yeah. Turns out that the big airplane can still outclimb that L-39.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was interesting to see the performance differences in between those planes. But we're now putting our photographer in the L-39 because photographers, they need a special seat and special treatment and all that stuff. So he gets to ride in the back seat of the L-39. I think he's asking for the front seat next. So,
they need to give him a little dome, something he can get underneath the wing, full 360 canopy bubble, like a little camera turret.
Technically, our chase plane is a Citation, but the windows are real small, and when you drop a payload, I guess the option would be to roll with the with the payload dropping away, where the L-39 can handle that. I think they can just roll all the way upside down to get the shot if they need to.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. So
there was I saw, I think it was for the Battle of Britain movie back in the early 70s, late 60s. They had modified a B-25 for filming. And so they had changed the whole nose. It looked really weird, but it was a big sort of camera nose on the front of the thing. You can find it online. Because of that, it was oddball looking plane. It would make a great model probably. But
I want to say that plane was used in some of the filming for Top Gun Maverick, specifically the P-51 footage at the end.
L-39s, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It
was.
A lot of that flying happened right here at a nearby airport in Yokern, and some of the chase, or not the chase, but the camera ship stuff was taken by a guy I'm friends with, I've worked with for years, who got the contract to fly that job. And it's kind of neat I went and watched the movie, and I had a great time. It was a great movie. And then I later learned, I actually know quite a bit of the people, because I'm the one guy that sits in the theater and watches the credits of a flying movie. Always. My son always wants to leave, but I'll stick around until I can see every name that I can see on there. And that includes Planes, the cartoon. Yeah.
Very good.
All right, so I've got a question for you, Mason. It's been a couple of years now that Stratolaunch has been around, but I have not seen any RC models of it yet. Do you know of any that exist?
I have not either. What is happening with that?
I don't know.
I took the CAD of the skin of the outer mold line, we call it, and it's just a planar surface. It's just a thin skin, and I shrunk it down. And my dream is a let's see, I can't remember the scale. I think it might be a 200th. But it ended up being a 12-foot wingspan, and I even bought the AL-7, the airliner 737. I bought those nacelles, and I scaled it to those from those. I've got that set sitting in the garage, and I haven't made the foam wing yet.
What are the 70 millimeter or something, or 80 millimeter
like,
fans?
They were, yeah.
So you should be authentic. Buy two 747s. Take the engines off of it.
Yeah. HSC 747, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So to lead off of Terry's question, Mason, are there publicly available like 3 views or engineering views of the plane if somebody wanted to build one?
Not quite, but coming soon is going to be some of that stuff. I think they're going to allow that to start going out. I know that we've been talking with getting in flight sims. We've been talking with getting out there with models and stuff like that. It is my dream to release a CAD file for it or something that's a 3-view that we can all scratch build from. I was trying to figure out a way to make that sort of STEM beneficial, see if we could somehow link it through the AMA or something like that. And it's just one of those things that we changed our companies and like the PR people are not quite focused on the model segment yet. They're really hyper focused on hypersonic, if you will. And,
they want to make money?
Yeah, they actually want to make money. And then here's the guy here going, yeah, but models, I am more interested in cultivating the follow-on engineers that are going to take over when I'm done. and there's just no really good plans for a center loaded model airplane out there that has payload on the center line, and that is just a spectacular platform for it. And it turns out, we purposely built that wing as a straight Hershey bar, and then we did a polyhedral thing. The last 65 feet is got a little bit of polyhedral, and
only the last 65 feet.
Yeah, only. That's just the bracket that holds the wingtip light. Yeah.
I imagine Tony Accurso loving this idea. If someone could get the Stratolaunch built, he'll get an RC X15 to strap underneath it.
Oh, yes. Yeah, exactly. It's one of those dreams of mine. I even have a little spreadsheet where I sized out all the power plant and did everything ready to build that model. And I just, it's one of those things. It's on in the line of projects.
Sure. In my brain, I've kind of worked through what I would need for the same thing as well. And I always come to this conclusion, maybe erroneously, that there's a lot of torsional load on the center section of the wing. Is there any undue stress there, or am I right to think that needs to be strong?
Yeah, no, it's only a problem if there's two reasons why that could be a problem. And one is if you mismatch your elevators and you've got only one elevator working, you'll twist the other through that wing.
Elevator ailerons.
Yeah, and then a hard landing, right? So landing is really hard with that airplane. To land it simultaneously on the mains, it's almost always banked some amount, and that's where that twist comes in. But in flight, it's surprisingly low torsion on that.
Okay.
On that, and therefore, no real issues with that particular airplane is built for handling 500,000 pounds in the middle. So it's amazingly stiff.
500,000 pounds?
Yeah. So 500,
isn't that like a fully loaded?
Yeah.
Is it like a fully loaded 747? Is about that same weight?
I think it's actually more than. It depends on which 747 you're talking about.
Well, yeah. Maybe
the Dash 400s are probably the bigger workhorse ones. They have a little bit bigger wing, but we're flying a heavy airplane, and it's pretty interesting how we've been managing that. Lately though, my job is designing the release system, and I finally got to pursue one of my engineering dreams. And every engineer goes through this, especially mechanical engineers. They dream about getting to use an explosive bolt. The number one way to get rid of something is cut the bolts off. It's so great. So we do a kind of a similar to a stage separation where like a rocket might, where we actually sever the bolts and it drops the payload.
Oh, really?
But this is on a man-rated system, so that became a little harder to run those. But it's really interesting how reliable explosives actually are, and then how
they've been around forever.
They are to design. So yeah. But it's been a fun I probably haven't talked to you guys in about 2 years now, actually. I know I've been working on this for about 3, this separation system, since the airplane was built. And we're getting real close to getting to use it and go drop a payload in the ocean, go drop that little hypersonic. So maybe this time next year I'll get to join you guys again and talk about going Mach 5 plus. That would be
yeah.
Absolutely. So I remember maybe it was a presentation you did, or maybe it was one time you were on the show. You were working on the landing gear and you were dealing with some shimmy issues that you weren't prepared for. Can you talk about how you reconciled that stuff?
Well, that's an interesting one. That actually was on a previous project, the Virgin Galactic system. I was working on White Knight 2. Are you familiar with that one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I conflated the projects, but
Yep. It's easy to do. They look similar, carrier center mounted carriers like that. That one had if you've ever seen that series of videos, Black Sky, it shows the situation where they come in and land on the first flight and the nose wheels shimmy so hard that they pretty much go invisible. They're just a blur. And they left these squiggle marks down the runway that were fascinatingly close together. Like it was really cool. I went out and looked at the runway afterwards, and we had these awesome pair of squiggles, and the pilots didn't think they were so awesome. Yeah, we did. It turns out there is a magical formula for balancing and getting the sort of that shopping cart wheel to. You got to stiffen certain axes and you've got to balance in certain ways. And I'm not willing to share that secret recipe.
Understood.
It's a great secret. Let's say that. No, there's a bunch of white papers on that on that particular phenomena, and it gets super complicated with the math, and it is the worst thing to try to understand as an engineer and actually apply. So I just went with my modeling instincts, and there's one thing that you notice with a model airplane, you see those spring landing gear on the nose. Look at what happens if you let them trail. Often people will lose control. You'll watch airplanes swerve on the runway before they lift off, especially like these old SIGs. And the secret really is like a motorcycle. Kick it out forward, make it rake forward. You got to get that incline angle. The rake angle? Yep. Yeah. Yep. And that's exactly where it's at is in general, like that, like on this airplane, I have it, the angle of the nose gear sticking way out, and it'll just track down the runway straight. It's almost like it doesn't do anything until the rudder flies. So it's that to me is probably the first area that I hit to stabilize a landing gear, especially a wire one.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Sounds like an article for Model Aviation magazine.
It could be. It definitely. It's fun. I've actually played with that. I've taken my airplane and bent the nose gear backwards, and so let's go try this.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna make my new plane like this. The wheel's gonna be right touching the prop, right in front of it.
Right. Well, look at a Bonanza, a full scale. If you look at I'm sorry about that accident that just happened near you, but. That landing gear has the nose gear comes out forward and actually kicks at a rake angle like that, and it's right up behind that propeller.
If only that landing gear on the Bonanza had claws, he could have just stayed on that 18-wheeler. So speaking, I'm going to sidetrack us for a little bit, but you have a plane behind you. So what is that little sucker you've got there?
Yeah, you read my mind.
That's a funny story. You guys were talking about Hazel Sig. This is a Sig Cougar, and I built
a highly modified one.
Highly modified, yeah. I didn't like the Air Force one where they tried to feign an Air Force thing. I put the canopy way back. I'm like Reno. I want mine fast, and this one is ridiculous. The only thing I dread is I should have put retracts in it. But it's I built it probably 20 years ago, and it still flies. I've flown it about 6 months ago, and I bought it for my dad when I was a teenager to build, and he built the wing and he built the fuselage and he hung it up on the ceiling about there and didn't finish it. And then I grew up and I moved off to college, and I graduated, got a job, and when we were expecting our first baby, I kind of wanted to rekindle my RC hobby again. So I absconded with the airplane, and he didn't notice. And I finished.
How could you not miss that?
I got this plane, and he goes, "Oh wow, I got one of those." And I said,
No, you don't.
I've got it. So yeah, he's enjoyed that. I ripped him off and finished it. But oh man, that is a fast airplane, and it's got
what's the engine?
That is the Evolution 40 with the max muffler, and of course an APC that's been trimmed down pretty good. I forget what pitch I put on it, but yeah, we tried to do the radar thing with it, and it's just too scary to get down low, fly it at yourself with the radar gun. So, but it's just an oldie, and this is my work office at home, and I'm always on meetings with work, so I'm always throwing a different model on the wall just to kind of make a conversation piece. And it's absolutely fascinating how many people will talk to me about it. I've actually spoken to the director of NASA, and he's commented on, well, what's that airplane on your wall?
I'm glad you asked.
Yeah. So it's excellent.
Or you can say, what airplane?
Yeah.
How did I get there?
So it can't compete at all with your backgrounds. I absolutely am fascinated with what's behind you guys all the time. So especially Fitz, you've always got something that your scenery changes, and sometimes on its own.
That's because he works in there.
Where planes are possessed.
Yeah, things move behind you now and then.
They fall from the ceiling. You know what, Fitz? That happened at the last show. What was that, by the way? You never told us what fell.
You're trying to remember what it was.
You kept it quiet.
It was something over on that side. It was, what was it?
The ceiling beams just couldn't hold the airplanes anymore.
I've had planes fall off the ceiling before. I've had it happen once or twice.
Well, speaking of planes falling off the ceiling,
Okay.
I have a YouTube video of my release system at work. Are you guys interested? Can you show a YouTube video on the show? I guess
yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Keep
let's
talking.
see here. It's a Stratolaunch channel video, but they actually allowed us to film this and put it out live on, or not live, but on YouTube.
You can put the link in the chat or the private chat if you're not logged in.
Okay.
Listeners, eat your heart out.
Yeah,
Well, just give me the title. I pulled up the list. Are you looking at it, Mason?
No.
Because I can sit here and scroll, but I guess I need to see your.
I have a link for you though.
Okay.
How about I just
put it in chat. Yeah, put it in private chat.
Private chat.
And while we're doing that, guys, check our regular comments. See if we need to respond to anybody.
Yeah. So yeah, that release system we took. Stratolaunch is exciting because it is just a big, giant project, and there's a lot of things, a lot of moving pieces to it. And my job was to do the release system, and we did some hanger drops where we actually simulated a mass. So, yep, there's a model of the Talon falling away, simulated arrow.
Hey, who's that
look at
guy?
that.
Who's that stud?
You're famous.
Definitely.
Oh,
Probably, I'm sure they're using Dubro parts, Terry.
Oh, definitely.
Little nylon clevises.
The best part about that was that airbag. We got an airbag from the stunt industry, and dropped into that thing, and it was just spectacular.
Ooh, all right, explosive bolts.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that airbag.
Kind of heavy, huh?
Very.
So this is your work right there. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is a simulated mass. And
that's just the mass.
Yeah, that's to simulate that thing.
Look at that.
To simulate the rather than dropping our very precious airplane, we're dropping these masses that is simulated, a lot less risk in case something went wrong.
I'm admiring all the work here. It's really nice.
So imagine one issue, kind of, especially with you're dropping another aircraft, is making sure it falls off if it's not providing too much lift and it stays up or has some sort of weird torque or something.
It is. That's probably the primary concern, actually, right? Is we call it affectionately recontact with the airplane.
Yeah.
And it's literally, if you're going to drop something that's making lift, it'll just fly back into the airplane. But worse is it'll stay on it. Like there's a few videos out there that show stores that they attempt to drop, and because there's some alpha on the airplane that it'll just stay connected. And sometimes even when there's not, there's just a pressure enough to keep it there. And what we do is we do a lot of CFD analysis and a lot of scenarios and a lot of what they call Monte Carlo calculations that actually take some risk in and see what the odds are. Put some probabilities in there, and we have gotten, as a team, we've gotten what we think is pretty good at predicting all that. But you'll notice that pylon is dropped down and kind of got that, it's far below the wing there. It was that wing effect is what we had to push that out of, that Talon out of. The wing on that airplane is so massive. It has a bow wave that is just way out in front, and it is very problematic for having such a light load that close to the wing and on the bottom of it. So what angle of attack is the Stratolaunch at during release? Fairly flat. It's
Uh-oh. Did we lose him?
Mason's kind of paused there. He's thinking. See, he's deep in thought. What angle is that?
He was about to reveal some sensitive information, so the ninja stepped out.
I was going to say, yeah, it was it's proprietary information there, Jack.
I'll remove him for a second, see if he clears up, because he might log out and log back in. Y'all care to guess? Y'all want to make some bets?
So I was going to ask the same sort of question that Jack did. If
Maybe he's back
in a parabolic path or something like that, or different angle of attack. But
you froze on us, Mason. So we're gonna try again.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, I saw the question about the angle of attack. It's pretty flat for this airplane. We're learning that we don't want to get it terribly banked. We don't want to get it terribly pitched. It's so slow to react to control inputs that and the wing is so straight, and Hershey bar, the adverse yaw gets up there pretty good. It's like a big giant sailplane. And like in a sailplane, when you're banked up tight and your opposite aileron in, just keep it in that bank. Otherwise, it'll roll over if you're not careful. And same with the aspect ratio. So yeah, and the so we're dropping pretty flat. That's kind of been our idea. Safe and sound, just no risk. Yeah. Yeah, someday when there is a model of it, I want to try it all. I want to go for it. I want to do the strafing runs and see if we can get into strafing runs.
Mach 3 into the ground. Just I'll drive that little thing.
I guess if you're going to build a model, you have to make it payload capable. And then the sky's the limit on what.
And of course, explosive bolts. I mean,
right.
Our fellow modelers have done
a couple of MD-80s strapped around a quarter 20.
My favorite one was quarter 20 nylon bolts hollowed out with black powder in them and an electric match at the top.
Oh man!
So when it was a top launch,
I just saw Terry having an idea. He was like, I got an idea now.
No, I'm thinking of the disclaimer we need on this show.
Yeah.
Do not try this at home, kids.
Hey, kids, use a Telemaster. No, the one I saw was a top launch, like your glider cradle on the top of the Telemaster. And it just, the guy was flying it and it went bang real loud and the glider released gently, but it was a puff of smoke that it released in. I thought, oh my goodness. Did it pop any holes? And it had holes all over. It was on a coat. Like shot with a shotgun.
Yeah. Self-imposed flak damage.
Yeah. But of course, we've got modelers in our company here and there have been models of that Talon airplane, and that one's fun because it's hard to. There's no way to get it up to speed as a model, and so my favorite one was Dan Craig. He built one with an inside ducted fan, like a hidden ducted fan, and a belly inlet, and it didn't fly very well. It was pretty.
Did you say it's hypersonic?
It is, yeah. That's the idea.
Translate that into Mach numbers.
Mach 5 and above.
Okay.
So, yep.
Yeah.
So that's a ramjet or something we've never heard of?
No, this one's a rocket, and it's jet fuel and liquid oxygen. So it's real. The idea is to kind of go with known materials, and we have another video online of a hot fire of that engine, and it's this itty bitty looking engine. I don't know rockets very well, but I'm impressed with how small that looks. It is really something. Less destructive ideas. Space shuttle release.
That's our friend Michael from Dallas. He's got that the HSD 747. He brought it to Bomber, but he's building a shuttle. He's turning it into a shuttle carrier.
Ooh, a top launch? Oh my goodness.
And
See,
he
now
has the talent to do it.
Yeah.
Now maybe it's because the shuttle was on top, but in those releases, the shuttle was in a descent, and it may have been an arcing descent as well to ensure separation.
Yeah, and they kicked the nose up a little more. So the struts that held the nose, they would actually extend them for that flight so that the two had different incidents.
So it's like, because I thought it was set that way for cruise. Whatever incidents the shuttle needed to be at for cruise was optimal for there. But
it was a little different than the one that they had for the launch. And that launch one was the Enterprise that is sitting on the aircraft carrier in New York.
Right.
That was the only.
We've seen it.
only
We
one.
have.
Yeah, that's right. That's where I met you guys.
That is.
that true? I met you in New York.
No.
Or in,
That's where I met you when you were doing your presentation there.
yeah, that's right.
And that's where I filled out my Stratolaunch card, I think, that got flown in space.
That's right. And you got it back, right?
I did. Yep. It's around here somewhere.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah. Did you do one too, Fitz and Lee?
I don't think they were there for that. Yeah, they missed out.
I missed that.
Oh, that's
Man,
right.
missed it.
Oh, man.
Well, I'm going to send him another card and have it go up in. I want mine to be the little thing that does Mach 5.
Yeah, that's I was. I'm ready.
Is that a military thing or civilian? Commercial?
It's civilian. Yeah, it's the whole idea is we're going to be selling rides on that. So if you have a sensor or something you want to ride it or whatever. No, it's unmanned, but it's got a payload area, and the idea is that we're going to be holding that condition for a while. Like it's so hard to go test in a hypersonic environment. There's just no vehicles that can get you there, and we're trying to get there with a relative amount of reliability. So that you can go and fly on condition one day and go, oh, cool, I need to do it again, and you can do it again. So
yeah, it sounds like a good opportunity because there are companies, if I remember correctly, working on commercial use of either hybrid engines or scramjet or whatever type for commercial use, and that would be, I guess, a good platform to strap one on, I would think.
Yeah, I would think
platform,
so. I think it's like a blank canvas almost. I know it's a complicated little airplane to get to work, but like it just seems to me like there's so much potential to it. It's a really cool design. Things get super hot at Mach 5, so we're having to engineer around that, and it's been interesting that this is such a we're getting a lot of interest from people on it, and as we're about to drop it in the ocean for a glide flight, and that'll be exciting. And that's what almost made me late for the show tonight. So I was working on paperwork to mate the two ships together.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So does it fly all the way to landing, or does it deploy a parachute at some point?
It's going to fly it into a landing. Yeah. So it's full self nav and it self flares and the whole bit. So it's on its own.
And it's designed to land in the water? Interesting.
Well, ideally later it'll land on a runway because it's hard to retrieve from the water, but that's hard. So we're going to land it in the water the first time or two, and then it's a lot safer for people too. First time you deploy these things, it is a big model airplane, but it's just like it's so big and fast that they want to kind of control it. So it's interesting. I love some of the mechanisms. You hear in general people complain about the government, but there are branches that do some amazing things, and one of them is our airspace control. So we have Edwards here, and the flight test center of the world is right here in Southern California. Well, the ocean 80 miles away is that too, and they control that airspace in a way that they let all kinds of people test. Like from my backyard, I've seen launches from Vandenberg in the evenings that are just amazing. And and that's they go out over the head out west, and they clear the area as much as they can of boats, and they really try to prepare that. It's cool. It's cool to see that. Yeah, a lot of that is like I get to just watch because I'm the release guy. Yeah.
Will it let you take a ride in the Stratolauncher and press the button to release since you're the engineer?
No, I wish. I did get to press the button once in the hangar. That was fun.
Cool.
But, yeah, they gave me the one chance, but no. After that, it's the pilots. They got to be heroes. They got to. It's their job. So no, that there's still only 3 people aboard the airplane, and
really?
The flight test engineer. And there was a spot, I don't know if you saw it in the video, where the flight test engineer was reaching up to the switch panel. It is an ocean of switches and gauges in there. It is just wild how much there is to do in it.
I imagine there's one switch that's bright and shiny and red.
And lit. That's the chemtrail switch.
Yeah. So are all 3 people on one side, or is there a lonely person and 2 pals?
Oh no,
on the other side?
they're all in the right hand side.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the left side is just.
Do you have a dummy in the other one? What's the
Just for the HOV lane. Yeah.
what's the inflatable pilot in airplane?
Autopilot.
I would love to see a picture of that cockpit with him sitting in there like that.
As a matter of fact, I can interview you for a job at Stratolaunch right now. One of my favorite questions to ask interviewees is, the cabins on the left and right, only one side is occupied. The right-hand side has the pilots and the flight engineer. The other side is completely unoccupied, but it still has windows in it. Any idea why?
That's a good question.
Fitz?
Because it was cheap and easy. You made it just easy to copy both sides and just build both sides at the same time.
No one's ever got that question, but you just nailed it.
Yeah.
Like, that's absolutely right.
It's a little
You start
This is right-wing sound right now.
Yeah, shall we discuss our salary requirements then?
Wait, you said this was a job. This was a job question. Does he get a job now at Stratolaunch?
Yeah. We had a tool, and we had a mold, and we had these windows we stole out of or took out of the 747.
Borrowed.
Borrowed. And we tested the one with pressure and did all the why would we repeat all that? So we just made a second one on the other side. And
So there's not even controls.
It really wasn't fair because Fitz works for NASA and he's familiar with budget constraints. And why do we have to do things more than once? Can't we just do it once and be done with it?
No, the only thing that's in that left-hand side was this mysterious box that is what we flew all of the first flight artifacts in. It was like a toolbox that we bolted to the floor, and we all got to put something. All the engineers got to put a token in there that fit in an envelope, and it really cracked me up because they gave everyone a business envelope and they said, if you can fit it in here, it can go in the airplane. Do not do that to a group of smart engineers. It is so cool.
Because none of them are flat. There's no flat envelope.
Some people open they took it home and unglued the way they fold the envelope, and they labeled an item with the envelope. They said, "Here, it's in the envelope." and they just the management had to shake their heads like, we should have known.
It's a challenge more than a rule.
Definitely. Yeah.
I love that story.
Yeah.
Well, Mason, do you want to stick around? Because Fitz is about to give us another hours of his special trip. So you want to hang out and watch the slideshow, or do you guys?
Did you say hour?
Oh, I'm sure it's going to take an hour.
It's going to be an hour. Yeah, that could be an hour.
I'd love to. Yes, thanks.
All right.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you, Mason, for surprising us. At least two of us.
Thanks so much for having me on. I'm so excited.
Yeah, that was a fun story. I'm glad you got to share that because we're always watching that. We're always hearing about it. So I look forward to you calling me and letting me know if you're going to do another live show because you narrated a couple of flights. So when you do that, let us know. We'll link it up to our RC Roundtable page and we'll let people know.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'd love to. Yeah. I hope we do that soon. Yeah.
Man, I look forward to it. That's awesome.
All right, Fitz, it's all yours. Where'd you go? Where'd you go last week?
Where were you on the night of January 15th?
I didn't do it. Nobody saw me do it. You can't prove anything. So I ended up going on it was actually a work trip, kind of a semi-surprise work trip to the Netherlands last week.
Like Peter Pan?
Worky stuff. Was that Netherlands?
That's Neverland.
No. Oh, Neverland. Never. Okay. Yeah.
I'll stop. You go ahead.
Waka. So I've never been there. So it was interesting. And I got to spend basically a week there, a good chunk of a week there. It was neat because I was at the European version of NASA. So basically non-NASA. So it was kind of cool and talk with our compatriots on the European side of things. And so, whenever I go to other countries and stuff, I like to see some of the nerdy things, usually related to either models or airplanes. And so before I went, I poked around. I found out that they have a kind of a nice little aerospace museum just north of Amsterdam called the Luchtvaart Museum, Aviodrome. And so fortunately I got in fairly early on Sunday and before all my coworkers got in. So I said, hey, I got basically the whole day. Let me go take a bus and a train and another train and a bus. Since I didn't have a rail car.
Aren't you supposed to ride a bike?
There was a lot of bicycles there, man.
Yeah.
There, I think the state symbol is either a bicycle or a roundabout. One of the two, because they have billions of both. But there's this nice little aerospace museum. Here's a replica Wright Flyer that they have here, and a Baleariat, which I don't know if it's a replica or not, and probably, but still a Fokker. Of course, I didn't realize it, but I guess the Netherlands or Holland, I guess at the time, was the home of the Fokker Aircraft Company, or had some really tight dealings with them. So this was, I'm not sure if this is a replica or not. I think it's a real one of some early Fokker plane. There's a Fokker triplane.
Spin. Remember when we were talking about bad airplane names? There's another one to add to the list. Fokker Spin.
The Fokker Spin.
Fokker crash. Fokker hit ground.
So of course the famous triplane, the DR-1, the Fokker F-27, which was regional commuter airliner that was some notoriety. This is an Italian autogyro. I don't know why it's there, but it was kind of neat to see one sitting there.
It couldn't leave.
You couldn't leave. Yeah. Probably was there for the war.
Go back one photo. Michael's probably interested in that helicopter back there.
There's another picture I've got. There are several helicopters. No, that's a Sikorsky.
Oh, okay. I got him confused.
But hopefully, if Lee didn't delete it, there's one with the. They had like a mini space display area, a replica. I think that's a Mercury capsule. On the right is a replica of one of the space station modules. ESA provided what they call the Columbus module, and you can walk around inside of it and stuff. And it's a nice little replica of it. Two other planes. I'm not sure what that is.
Is that a Dove? I think de Havilland Dove.
De Havilland, yeah, with the inverted inline engine.
Yeah, the other side actually had a cowl open, which was kind of cool. There you go. There's several helicopters. On the left is a Sikorsky H-5. I think he said.
There you go, Michael. Pause, Michael.
Yeah, there's Michael. A Bullcow, I believe, in the back center, and on the right another Sikorsky H-19. I can't remember. I took a picture. This was cool. This was one of those jet.
It's jet engines right there.
Yeah, the jet engines are on the rotor blades.
Okay.
Yeah, on the end of the rotor blades. Yeah, it was kind of cool just to see it sitting there. It's very, very minimal design.
And it's contra rotating?
No, they just had one rotor set, I think. It might have a Hiller bar or something like that for stabilization.
I see.
But it was kind of cool to see that. DC-3 and a Constellation.
Oh, wow. Connie's back there. Wow.
That's a big museum.
That was good. Yeah, exactly. Took it right out of my mouth.
Appears to be up on a mezzanine, it looks like.
You can walk up on a mezzanine and look down on a bunch of the aircraft, which was kind of neat. So you can walk around them at the same level, or you can go up on this little mezzanine walkway and snap some shots. Another Fokker something 7, I think, or something. No, not a T7. I forgot exactly what it is. One of the early. At first, I thought it was like, is that a Ford trimotor with only one engine? But it's actually a Fokker design. It says on the side. I can't remember exactly. Oh, let me. This was kind of weird. This was a Ju-52, but like 2/3 of it. It was missing most of the right wing. I'm not sure why they did that. Maybe they ran out of room or something. But
just so you know, they do the same thing with the B-25 at the Fredericks Museum. Did you notice that, Fitz, when you went?
I don't remember. The Fredericksburg Museum.
The Doolittle display has half of a B-25.
Oh, maybe it did. Yeah. Okay, I forgot about that.
Maybe that's all they could find.
Ford.
This is a DC-4 or DC-6, something like that. Maybe you guys
6,
know.
Maybe.
I would say 6, but I'm no expert.
Probably a 6. Yeah. For some reason, they had a MiG-21 sitting there outside. I don't know why,
cool.
but okay. But whatever.
Why not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is neat. This is sort of, I guess, a restoration hangar, and so you've got, is that a Lockheed on the left?
Beech 19
or Beechcraft? Sorry, I always get the Lockheed and Beechcrafts confused because they're very similar in that era. And another DC-3, and there's, I think, another picture. Yeah, just a bunch of random stuff.
Oh wow!
There's the back shop. Cool.
Yeah, it was really cool stuff. They had some engines laying around in planes in various stages of disassembly. You can't really see it on the left as a naval plane. This was neat. A Saab
Mirage?
Viggen? No, it's a Saab. I think a Viggen. I never seen one in the flesh, so this was cool to kind of see one sitting there. It obviously hasn't been flown in probably many moons, but it's a neat little canard.
Are you kidding? That guy just parked it.
Yeah.
It's a Saab. It's probably in the shop.
Yeah, really.
That's a good inside joke too.
Yes. And of course, this is an AN2 kind of sitting there.
Yeah.
This one you can walk inside and walk around it. Here's part of the ESA facilities. This is kind of a nice campus. You got a pond. It's wintertime, so the weather's bleh. I was told that the Danish are not known for their food, but I did try some of their fries and sauces and some other random stuff. So I thought I'd throw a picture in there, some food.
So Vincent Vega was right. They put mayonnaise on their fries?
Yeah, they put all kinds of
I
stuff
don't know
on
what
the
that
fries.
is.
It was some weird sauce. I have no idea. I think it had a little bit of garlic or something in it. So we spent a little bit of time in Amsterdam, not a whole lot. We spent basically part of a night. This is the Anne Frank Museum. If you know the story of Anne Frank. Yeah, they basically the inside is more like it was. The outside is of course modern looking, but it's the actual place, the actual house where her family, actually two families, which I didn't know, were scuttled away to hide away from the Nazis.
Yeah, behind the bookshelf, right?
Yeah, the bookshelf was there. They wouldn't let me take pictures, unfortunately, inside. But the bookshelf was there. It's half open, so you walk through the entryway through the bookshelf opening, and which I didn't realize is that the place where they're living was actually fairly large. I always thought it was just like some dusty old attic that they were crammed into, but it was actually like 3 or 4 floors of a hold-off building that had no access to the outside other than to the bookcase. And so they had fairly good room. They were still trapped in there, night and day for a couple of years. But a lot of the artifacts were still there. They still had some of the stoves, the ovens, some old pictures that were on the wall, lots of artifacts and things you can read about it. It's such a tragic story. They really learned quite a bit. The girl really wanted to be a writer. She lived through the war. Yeah. And so she had several diaries and stuff. But anyways, on a happier note, I did find at the last day, I kept trying to go to this shop and I couldn't get it because we were just working so much. And on the last day, I was able to squeeze in a little bit of time to go to a hobby shop in the next
How do you pronounce that?
So
SJAAK?
Jacques. Sajak? Like Pat Sajak?
Yeah.
I know. So my question is this: it says hobby shop number there. That's smart. If they had to add the English words there,
Yeah,
That's universal.
I know. Is it?
Well, two things. All the Danish speak really good English. They all speak English. And I never met one that didn't speak at least passable English. And you're right. The names, if you ever need a password, just open up a map of the Netherlands and pick a town. There's your password.
Unbreakable code.
I am taking that advice because I sit and think of passwords way too long.
Just pick a letter in the middle and make it capital.
Pick a town in the Netherlands. You have your password. Nobody will guess it. In fact, when I got to the airport and I was going through immigration, the guy's asking, "So where are you going?" And I pronounced the name, and he's like, "No, it's pronounced this."
Yeah, yours had 2 syllables. His had 8.
Yeah, it's like the way you pronounce it is not like how it was spelled. It's like okay, but anyways, it was a nice little hobby shop. There's some interior pictures. It wasn't an RC place, but it had great plastic models and car trains and some paints. I saw this. This was a 1/250 scale Yamato. If I had room, I would have taken this sucker home with me. This was big and it wasn't that expensive, and you got some trumpeter kits too, 1/350 scale aircraft ships and stuff. I bought a little train, a little N-scale model train. This is painted just like the Metro Rail that I rode a whole bunch of times. So I said, hey, well, I'm here, maybe I'll buy a little N-scale because I have an N-scale layout. And he had one. It was not the cheapest thing in the world, but nice guy. It was funny because when I got there, the shop was closed, but it was supposed to be open. And I was contemplating going back because I didn't want to stay too long. I had to take the bus and the train back home, back to the hotel. But he ended up showing up about 5 minutes late, and he spoke to me in Danish first, in Dutch first, and then realized I had to tell him, English. He goes, oh, okay, no problem. And he made a joke. He apologized for being late and made a little joke. He was a nice guy to talk to. So on the way back, I stopped in London for a couple of days, and here is the Royal Air Force Museum, which I've been to before, but I was on my way to somewhere else, and it was like right next door. So I didn't really have the time to go through the whole museum again, but I did go through. There's a Spitfire out in the open. I think it's a faux Spitfire and a Hurricane, which I believe also was a faux Hurricane. But last time I was there, they were working on a building, and this time it was finished. So I thought I'd poke my head in and see the new building. And you see I don't know, that's a BE-2 maybe or something. I'm not sure what the big biplane is. So it wasn't a whole lot of aircraft there. There's a few things. I think was it Alpha Jet?
A Gnat.
The Gnat, that's it. Sorry, Gnat. But it had a whole bunch of things for kids, interactive things for kids to play with, the whole line. Here you might find this interesting, Mason. A bunch of wind tunnel models. Wind tunnel models of all kinds of really goofy stuff. And so this is some prototype stuff, some oddball British designs of whatever. And they had wood models, proof of concept. That one in the middle was pretty cool. They had a flying car, wind tunnel model or something. That was kind of cool. Flying Jeep, I think they called it, or something like that.
Go back to that flying car. Look how they're pivoting the whole tail Mooney style. It's like how Moonies trim the elevator, horizontal tail. The whole thing is pivoted. That, I believe, that is really a wind tunnel model. The other ones with the decals and the silver paint, I don't know.
Oh yeah, those weren't. They had more. Yeah, those weren't. But they had a couple other wind tunnel models. I didn't copy over. But yeah, there's a shorts.
Sunderland.
Sunderland. Yes. Wow. That was just kind of sitting there that you could eat under. There's like tables and stuff, which was neat. I didn't realize it, but the bomb racks sort of slide out of the middle. You see them under the wing?
I do.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Is that do they retract and close?
Best I could tell, they do. They look like there's a rail system on the bottom of the wing, so they can slide in and out of the fuselage.
Do you know what that part of the airplane is called? That is officially called the armpit. Yeah. Those are armpit bombs.
It fits.
It does.
Armpit hashtag armpit bombs, man.
Yeah. So there was a gift shop to the left, and I picked up some stuff for Terry, you, and Lee. By the way, a couple of little snack things.
What about Mason? Did you get anything for Mason?
Oh, I didn't know he was going to be on. I owe you something.
Now we can tell where all the Revell models went.
Right. So there is this wonderful little hobby shop within a block of walking distance of the museum that I had no idea was there. I started poking around on Google Maps. I think it's called Hamlet's, and it was interesting walking in this because it was a really not a huge place, but it was crammed full of neat plastic models for everything, and some oddball stuff. And I bought this. I saw this on the shelf. I was like, what the bloody hell is this? Yeah, I've got the British is wearing off on me. Apparently, this was a real proposed French design that they had. I think they got to some sort of mock-up stage with it and kind of abandoned it. And it's so bizarre. It looks like something out of science fiction. And so I got to get it. In fact, I have it right here with me. And I said, well, it's got photo etch parts, 1/72 scale. I had to look it up. Whoops, upside down. Well, actually, does it really matter?
Yeah.
Which way is up?
Does it have
It
enough?
doesn't really matter.
So the kit itself is not very big. There's only a little small packet of stuff.
Oh
but
my
it's got some
gosh.
photo etch parts.
Oh, it's
But
teeny
it's such
tiny.
a cool, unusual, bizarre thing. I think it's made in Russia, of all places.
You must upscale that, Fitz.
Yeah, that is cool. But they
370 millimeter EDFs.
Yeah.
No, there's
By the way,
4, right? There's one in the
There's 4.
4 section too.
Was there a center one? I didn't notice that. Oh yeah, that's one of them. Yeah, that's the rocket. The others are jets.
So for our listeners, you really got to step aside and watch the video for this.
You got to watch it.
I would try to describe what this model is, but I don't know where to start.
If you're a sci-fi fan, Blake 7 comes to mind, but it's a real obscure show. If you know what that is, then you get the idea. Liberator, that's it. Liberator from Blake 7. Anyways.
Well, hold on, not so fast. What does 27 euros translate to in dollars?
That's pounds, actually.
Oh, Okay.
The British never went to the euro system. They stayed with pounds.
Oh, I forgot you were in London.
Yeah,
Okay.
back
I
in
was
London.
thinking,
Yeah. So
okay.
I'm in jolly old England. So what's about $30, I think.
Oh, really?
Roughly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I figured I'll splurge on it a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
take my
Oh,
money.
I think it is Hamlet's.
Yeah.
I forgot. I have the bag here. It's called Hannets. Hannants is the camera's backwards. Sorry. Neat little hobby store. It's interesting to hear their conversation. I came in. There was a bunch of guys talking about different things, and it was just hilarious. Also, I had a chance to pop down into London proper to the Science Museum, which had a neat a couple of different displays. They had a sci-fi, science fiction special display temporarily. I don't know how long it's going to be there, but I figure I'd pop down there, some science fiction fan.
So before I show the next slide, I was like, I almost knew I was going to bet that Fitz would find a Dalek.
Yes.
I was like, if he's in London, because he told me you were going to London, I said he's going to find a Dalek. He's going to find a K9, hopefully.
Now,
But you
is this
just
an actual movie prop?
you did not disappoint me.
This one seemed to be an actual movie prop. They had actually another one, a red one that said was a replica, but this one apparently was an actual prop of some sort, based on what if we're reading it the sign. And they had some other Doctor Who stuff. I think there was the Cybermen and some other stuff. I took this. This was funny. If you look at this was I saw the no smoking and no scissors and then
no lightsabers,
no lightsaber, no phasers,
stun guns.
Stun gun. I think that's
capacitor?
I think the bottom left is a holy hand grenade.
Is that the detonator? Boba Fett.
I think
it's a thermal detonator from
the thermal detonator like Boba Fett and Princess Leia had when she was in disguise. I thought it was just hilarious that I guess British humor. I don't know about the scissors. I didn't know running with scissors. So anyway, so there was what was the next picture? I don't remember what comes. They had this was interesting. This was actually a fairly large model of the USS Enterprise. It was actually quite big, and of note is it was signed by several of the actors and actresses in the show, which I thought was interesting. But it wasn't an actual movie filming miniature. I guess somebody just built it and they decided to sign it.
How big was that?
It was pretty big. It was probably a good 4 feet long.
Man, that is beautiful.
So believe it or not, the Science Museum had a bunch of aircraft in it, which I was really surprised. First of all, hands off to the British. They have some of the best museums I've ever been to. And this Science Museum is just absolutely fantastic. I only sent the pictures of the planes, but it's got everything. It's got computers. It's got the first ever steam engine. It's just beautiful display. This is not something just for kids. This is a wonderful, wonderful museum. If you're ever in London, you got to stop by there.
Oh my goodness.
This was a section
that just fills a whole day right there.
There were engines as far as you could see. There must have been about 30, 40 engines of various types here that were used in all kinds of aircraft from World War I, pre-World War I, down to the jet age. British, American, German. I think they had a V2 engine, rocket engine there, V1. They had all kinds of neat stuff. A Focke-Wulf engine in there for some reason. The picture doesn't do it justice. It was as far as you can see down this picture is they had engines on racks. It was just really fascinating to see the different types, some really big ones, little ones, all kinds of stuff. Some more aircraft. They had a glider. I forgot what that jet is at the top.
Saberliner?
Was that the Whittle? Are you talking about the one with the yellow bottom?
Yeah, the yellow bottom.
Was that the very first jet?
One of the early jets. I can't remember the name. I think it comes after the meat box, but in that era, the 50s era.
No, I thought it was World War II.
You might be right. It might be one of the other ones.
Yeah, I'm talking out of my fanny though. But
I can't remember. I saw the name and I forgot it. I got to hand in my geek card. No, Saberliner. I believe this is the prototype. One of the prototype Harrier jets.
Yeah, when it was still the Kestrel, maybe.
Look at how much complication is in that wingtip wheel. That is wild. They've since changed that.
Yeah, you can tell the inlets are different.
It's interesting to hear that coming from the mind of a landing gear engineer.
That's the first thing I look at. Yeah.
That babe. Some more stuff. They got an HE-163 sitting up there. More Spitfires and Hurricanes, of course. It's England, right? Some various models. I think some of those were wind tunnel models. if I remember correctly. There's some RC models in there. There's another picture that shows you close. There's a solar powered Grosvenor, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think that there's some engines, CO2 engine, and 4-stroke. I think Sato. Just some random stuff in there. There's the Supermarine Racer, the progenitor of the Spitfire, which is really neat to see. I don't think I've ever seen one. This looked familiar. I couldn't remember the name. It's a flying wing or a tailless plane.
Is it the pterodactyl or some sort of dinosaur type?
I don't think it's that. I know what you're talking about. No, this was different.
Okay.
But it's close. I believe that's an SE5 kind of sitting there with some really long exhaust pipes.
Yep.
I think a de Havilland.
And
I believe that's a Handley Page. Yeah, it's a Handley Page something or another.
0400 or something.
Yeah,
something like that.
With V engines.
Yeah, an interesting. Yeah, V style engines with an octagon cowls. Now this was just the top floor with just airplanes. This is another floor. They had a couple more planes mixed in with some just other artifacts. So
I like the cars just lining up the wall.
I love the stack of Beetles
up on the wall. Another World War I biplane.
What the heck is that?
Catch the name. It's a vertical takeoff and landing. This is my only complaint. They had a terrible display for this one. It's sort of between these pillars. I couldn't get a good angle to take a picture of it. I believe this was a tailless vertical lift prototype experimental plane, but I'm trying. Maybe somebody in the chat can recognize it. I didn't see the plaque for it, or I didn't find it. This was texting you guys. This is an actual Apollo 10 capsule that they have on permanent loan from NASA, and a control panel from, I'm not sure what a control panel is. It might be from the trainer, but it was neat because I was looking at the capsule. I was like, if that's a replica, that's a really, really, really good replica. And the guy goes, no, it's an actual Apollo 10 that we have on permanent loan. I found a neat little sci-fi shop in London called the Forbidden Planet.
It looks like that shop found you.
It was pretty cool. I ended up buying a few things. There's a model of the Enterprise D, and there's just a shot of just all kinds of stuff. It's got Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, whatever, anime. So that was just a kind of a snapshot with some of the stuff I did. I didn't have a whole lot of time, but thanks for stepping through those. I had a great time, even though the weather was a little better in England than I thought it would be, but the weather over in Netherlands was cold and rainy. But it was a good trip. It was very useful work-wise, and I had a good time traveling somewhere overseas on a company's dime, so to speak.
My dime.
Your dime. Taxpayer dollars.
Don't you forget it.
Good work.
You're welcome.
All in the name of science.
All in the name of science. We did a lot of sciencey stuff, so it was money well spent. But it was great to see. I always like to see hobby stores and stuff in other countries, and I had a great experience doing that. So that was my trip. I got back only just a couple of days ago, so slightly jet lagged. Not too bad, but it's my clock is off a bit, but it was a good run.
So if you got to plan this trip again, Fitz, and you were to dedicate time to these museums, I'm sure it looks like you would have to go back at least for a second visit. What would you recommend for allocating time-wise to that, especially that Royal Air Force Museum?
So the Royal Air Force Museum, a day. That was only one of like the 4 different hangars or so that they have. That was just went in the new one, and I only had a couple of airplanes. The Royal Air Force Museum is fantastic. It's got some really great stuff. It's totally free too, by the way. But there's several other hangars. One hangar is just dedicated. It's purely for World War I or pre-World War I stuff. There's another one's got a bunch of World War II. There's another one's got all kinds of jets. So that one a day. The Science Museum was actually not that bad. Half a day was plenty of time, I think, for a Science Museum. If you were to walk around and look at stuff, it wasn't that bad. We didn't even spend that much time. I was able to go around. It's got a lot of stuff in there, but I was able to pretty easily go around and just, this is neat, take a picture and take a look and talk about some stuff.
Biology, we can skip that floor.
Yeah. There was one section of this like medical stuff. It's like, okay, no. But
plants.
They have
dinosaurs.
They've got an Alan Turing machine. They've got a Babbage computer that's like the size of a car.
Really?
Yeah, it's all kinds of just odd stuff. They have old bicycles of all things, and it's just a fascinating museum for all kinds of steam engines, cars, whatever. So it's a very, very cool museum. And there's other museums. There's like they have a museum of, I think, the Imperial History Museum or something like that. It's got all kinds. It's got the Rosetta Stone in it and stuff. I didn't go to it this time, but
All the stuff they stole from countries.
yeah, back from the English Empire. So yeah, but if you like science, technology, airplanes, I was surprised. There's some really good stuff in the Science Museum. Definitely worth a trip. If you're in London or anywhere near the area, try to stop by an area. And London has a pretty good public transportation. We traveled the tube, the underground, so we got here and there as long as it was under construction. And so it was great to see the aerospace stuff in different countries. It's always great to go to another country because you see oddball stuff. You go to on the continent in the Netherlands, you saw the jets and stuff I've never seen before in the flesh, and you go to London, they've got all the British stuff. They have a long history of aerospace there, and they have all kinds of weird and wonderful things. So, yeah.
Right. When Europeans come here and they're excited to drink a Budweiser. Like,
yeah. They say, "Oh wow, look, that's a Mooney, or that's a P51 or something like that, a Cub." Yeah, we don't see it over here. We have all other stuff. So I don't know if I have anything else to talk about. No, just you know what I got you guys, or you want to be surprised? I'm going to mail it off to you.
Surprise me, and we'll talk about it on another show.
Okay, I'll surprise you.
If it's not adult themed, and
no, it's not adult themed. Just some little knickknacks.
Darn.
I wanted to go. There was a hobby store near the airport I really wanted to go to. I just wasn't able to get to. It's called West London Models. It looks like they had a mix of RC stuff and plastic models, that kind of stuff. But I just didn't have time. So I got to several places, and there was a flying field too I wanted to try to get to, but again, I just didn't have the time.
You think there was anybody there this time of year?
I don't know. That was the weather was cool, but nice and bright and sunny, and it wasn't windy. So I don't know how. What kind of stuff the British flyers are made of? If they're
they're a hardy bunch.
I would think they're pretty stiff upper lip, right? So they probably would be flying.
Suffer in silence.
So next time I'll probably venture out some more. I don't know, Mason. Last time I was there, I mentioned I went to a place called Old Warden. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Mm-hmm. It's basically their version of Rhinebeck. If you're familiar with Old Rhinebeck, and it was same concept. They've got a lot of World War I, pre-World War I stuff that flies, and that they will fly if the weather's good. And it was great because they had I went there during an event. It was during the summer, so it was very nice weather, and they had an actual air show event going on. I forgot what they called it, and they were flying all kinds of stuff. Again, being in Europe, you see oddball stuff like a Lysander flying around, and Hurricanes and Spitfires and that kind of stuff. But I did see they had some P-51s and a P-17 fly. And what was neat is you're really close to the runways. It's a smallish field, so a lot of times some stuff didn't land, but they had some Hurricanes and stuff in there. But you're really close, so you're up and close to these aircraft that are flying around you, and it's a photographer. Lee, you would have just fainted for the photography you had there, because you were really close. And again, all kinds of oddball aircraft that they were flying that you don't see in the States. So that's another thing. If you're ever in the London area and you have a way to get up and it's in a good weather, go up to Old Warden. There's another name. The town is Old Warden. I forgot the name.
Shuttleworth.
Just look it up. Shuttleworth. Thank you. Yeah, Shuttleworth.
Thank George.
And apparently that place is also an RC model club when they're not flying full-scale airplanes. So.
Off the same runway, probably, right?
Yeah,
or at least the same area.
Yeah, same area. There's a large grass area as well. So yeah, because when I was there, the club had a bunch of models lined up in a display area, and I was like, "There's models area." Oh yeah, this is our flying field, where they let us use. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, cool! Wow, it sounds a little more exciting than the Rhinebeck, even.
It's better than Rhinebeck. It's like Rhinebeck on steroids. Yeah. Rhinebeck is nice, but this was Rhinebeck on steroids. It was really cool. And almost everything there was flight worthy. They have a little museum set aside, so you walk in and you'd see a what's that twin engine racer? The
Comet?
The red Comet, like a Comet there, and it's flight ready. You go in another room, they've got a hurricane that's broken down that they're working on, and they've got another some biplane, FB2B or something like that, or Sopwith or something, you know. And when I was leaving, they had a pre-World War I. I think they had the oldest flying aircraft in Europe, or maybe the world, really. And I forgot what it was, but it was. They didn't fly it until I was just leaving last time when it was dead calm. And because the thing is basically a kite, but they flew it. It flew around a little bit. It was like I got a couple of distance pictures of it. So,
oh wow,
nice.
It always fascinates me that those kind of museums can stay going, because you've got to have pilots who are willing to fly those when they're airworthy, and that's I think that's a special niche pilot job, is or gig, I guess, to get to fly those things. It makes me, I mean, I'm excited for future generations, but I'm also worried that we're going to have people to actually be able to operate some of that equipment.
Yeah.
We've got to keep but museums like that, like the Royal Air Force, or I guess even the Shuttleworth, hopefully will inspire the next generations.
Yeah, when I was there, I did see some fairly youngish pilots flying some of that stuff. So there's still some hope. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Right. Is that it, Fitz?
That is it that I can remember. I can't think of any.
All right. So we may need to adjust our plans, because I think we're planning to go about 2 hours, or not more than 2 hours, and we're down to 25 minutes. Lee, you have stuff you want to talk about, and I have stuff I want to talk about, but mine can wait.
Do we let Fitz and Mason decide?
Who do you like better?
Yeah,
that's what it all boils down to.
Yeah, Mason. Who invited you, Mason? Who remembers you? Who texts you frequently?
Or how long do you think you need for your thing?
I only need a few minutes.
I think I can do mine in a few minutes. So let's just split up our time and be efficient about it. And
all right, call it.
We're fine. Lee, you go first, because I need a refill, and I can probably miss the beginning of yours. So,
thanks, Terry. Thanks for being there for me. Get out of here. You know what I can do? I love that I can do this. I can just remove his butt from the show. And then just wait how long I bring him back. So all I was going to add is, for those of you watching, I have on our screen a post that we put on our Facebook page, RC Roundtable Podcast. I attended the Georgetown Aero Modeling Swap Meet, their 25th annual Swap Meet. Fitz was unavailable, and so I took my youngest. Well, I normally would bring Fitz or my buddy Kirk Jensen, but in this case, I took Ryan, my youngest, out there, and it didn't disappoint. I did have a goal. I had a mission. So there were some things I was looking for. So I did spend some time rummaging through bins, looking for these little things. And on the whole, I found what I needed. The most important thing, which I'm going to cut to this picture right here, was this. I found Ryan. Yay.
Found another son.
Yeah. You didn't lose him.
Yeah. I brought him home too. So I don't think I'm going to talk too much about this because it would linger on, but let me just say that my mission was to find an original T-28 Trojan. I think Fitz is back. I mean, Terry's back.
flight?
So. That's the Park Zone.
Park Zone. Oh.
So this is a Park Zone T-28 that I got from Gotta Know Joe, and it's in really good shape. There were some things broken, but they were easily repairable. Whoever originally owned this, had installed LEDs in the fuselage and into the wing. And I don't particularly plan to use them, but to wrap this up real quick, I wanted to make sure I could get it to fly. I wanted to have it in flying condition. So over the past few days, I have got everything working together. So I fixed the landing gear. I fixed some of the stuff inside the fuselage. Anyway, looks like I got exactly what I wanted. More to come on the T-28. So just stick around for that.
I know the secret, and I'm excited about it. It's a cool project.
It'll take too long, so we'll save that for another day. But on the whole,
is that one a fixed gear T-28, or is it a retractable?
It is a fix. It is the original, and it's funny because I love hanging out with my buddies. But Terry, you had the original. I think the first time I saw him, we were at Tom Bass Park. Yeah, right.
Yeah, sure.
So I think you had brought that one out there, and I think that's what got me hooked to get my Park Zone T28, which was the Air Force, the gray version, which I still have. Austin has one of those too, and Ryan has the yellow one, the newer one. So all of us have a T28 Trojan, and they're great planes. If you ever see one, someone's giving away one, whatever, put your money in there, grab it. It's a great plane.
It would be difficult to overstate how popular they were when they first came out.
Absolutely. I even have a UMX version.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the UMX wasn't as fun as the original Park Zone, I don't think, because the Park Zones were pretty aerobatic for what they were.
Absolutely. And they just take off and land really well too. So they're great trainers. So I'm glad I was able to find one. And what I'm planning to do, I didn't want to mess up mine. I love mine the way it is. So
I have a funny story about those actually, that involves a mass of people and one flying into them. We had, like probably 12 years ago when they came out, was the very beginning of Ardu Pilot and the autonomous flying boards that you could put in. And so we decided we were going to have a company picnic one evening on a Friday evening that was going to be about an hour after work got out. And so me and another engineer launched his T28 Park Zone T28 in self-flying mode, and it stayed aloft for quite a while, but he had it doing waypoints over Mojave, and the end waypoint was the middle of the crowd at the company picnic. And it turns out it was very, very accurate, and it was inbound, uncontrolled into the crowd, and we had to tell the company to get out of the way for that thing to hit in the middle of the baseball field. And it went at out level right over the waypoint and said, "Okay, I'm here," and dove straight into the waypoint. And
didn't have a landing mode, huh?
I always forget that decimal point.
So you want to stop at that lat long, okay? So yeah, it just decided to go vertical at that lat long and done. But it was,
well, I'm not planning to do that. That's not on my thing. But I'll give y'all an update on flying it because it's ready to go. But Fitz, do you want to talk about this HE-111?
Yeah, I should check my notes. Yeah, this is HE-111, and this was really interesting. You almost never see these things, and so I was actually talking with Richard about it. Richard had sent me a picture. He said, "Hey, look at this." And I was like, "Ooh!" It was a little pricey because I was like, "Man, maybe." But I was like, "No, I don't want to spend that much." And I think it sat there for a while, and then apparently, I guess the price kept getting lower and lower, and our buddy Tom ended up picking it up for a really good price.
Yeah.
So
because you were talking to him, you were talking to him, and it was like, the good news is a friend of ours has it, and now you can get your hands on it to fly.
Yeah.
You didn't have to pay anything. In the end,
he says that was apparently they found out it's an Airworld model. HE-111, so I believe that comes out of Europe, right? Airworld, if I remember correctly. Terry?
Yeah, it sounds right. Sure.
So it's neat to see that. I mean, there's not too many. I know Motion RC, I think, was carrying a newer version of it. I don't think it's an Airworld, but
here's what's curious is Wikipedia says it's a German airliner and a bomber.
They drop their passengers at their destination like your T-28s.
Yeah, I think it's
we're here.
So during the 1930s, when Germany was under severe control with their military, they would develop civilian planes that were really military planes in disguise. So it probably started as an airliner on paper, and it might have flown a few air routes, but it was basically a bomber that they unconverted from an airliner in a sense.
Well, I'll just quickly go. You can look at all the rest of the photos in there, but the Georgetown did not disappoint. We had a lot of fun, but hey, what's that? What's that right there? You recognize that, Terry?
Is that a bird dog?
It's a bird dog.
Yeah. Well, it's a variant called the Glow Dog that our buddy Sparky designed back when night flying was a new thing.
Yeah.
And that has the hand soldered LEDs. That was before the strips were available.
Yes.
So it was like 100 LEDs with the current limiting resistors on there.
A lot of soldering.
Yep.
And I built one for Terry.
just go down a couple planes to there looked to be two T-34s sitting really close together. Is that
No,
a
they're separate.
No,
okay. They're separate. Wings were somewhere else, but no, they were just separate in there. But I don't want to go through all these photos. I'm just going to talk while I just kind of ramble through these. But the Georgetown, Texas, just north of Round Rock, a little bit, but about an hour north of Austin. They always have a good swap meet. We've had a good time. Unfortunately, the auction at the end did not go as well as it has in the past. Some of the stuff was just not. I mean, $1 was usually the starting bid. But I mean, we had already heard a lot of people were buying stuff on Friday. The vendors who were in there, and come Saturday morning before 10 o'clock, a lot of the planes were. You can tell me to stop if you see something catches your eye. But they have boats there and cars,
nice,
and EDFs and big planes and little planes, and I found my T-28 and that kind of cool.
Ooh, that's
I was going to ask about this. Is that a EDF or a turbine? What is that?
Yes. It is an airplane. Hey, you know what? I will tell you this. I didn't take a picture of it, but while we were putting some stuff in our truck, a guy had pulled up in his trailer. He had an airplane drone, like one that may have been used for college testing or military. It was big. It must have had a 12-foot plus wingspan in his trailer. And it was beat up, it was a pusher, but he had one. He goes, if you can put it in your car, you can have it. I was like, no, no thanks. But this was a kind of a fun story. This was a Royal Cessna Citation. And one of our friends had asked me when I was there, he said, hey, is that thing for sale? I said, yeah. So I got him some more pictures. I got the number of the guy who was selling it. So, he might find a home later on.
I assume it was designed for glow ducted fans.
Yes. I don't have the pictures in here, but the nacelles were in another box, and it was glow.
Thought it was twin 25 or 40s, if I remember correctly, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
anyway,
it's so
3D printer.
Robo Shuttle. Delta.
I love that this guy was. You can use it as a hat.
Really keeps the rain off.
All right, so this is where I'll do my little show and tell now. I'm going to switch to remove that.
What is this analog technology, Dad?
You know what? That is exactly, Mason. That is exactly what it was. You got
it.
My friend Terry, another Terry Foote, was there selling stuff. Ryan picked this up. This is the picture I showed earlier. This one right here. This is after he picked it up, and he goes, this is weird. I mean, he was holding it. What is this? He was like, and so, Terry and I were laughing. It's like, oh, well, son, this is, people held it like this, and this is rudder. This is elevator rudder. And, over here is throttle, with your finger. So you hold it like this, and it's like, you hug it, you give it a nice little hug, and you fly airplane. And he goes like, that's so weird. And Terry said, you can have it. That's some of the nice things that happen out there is that, the kids get a lot of stuff. In fact, I was giving away planes from the AMA and found some kids there. And this one kid was just piled with stuff that, they want to get kids in the hobby. But, the fact that he gave Ryan this just so he could look at it and feel it and touch it, like, this is cool stuff. By the way, all the innards are gone. And this, so all that's left is the gimbal, but it'd be ready for a conversion, so you could look at it. But this is just kind of cool. But this was another. This guy was leaving. He had a box, and he goes, read the box. I said, it says free. He goes, just take it. I was like, well, all I want is this. But I just had to get this because he was giving it for free. But this was one of my first radios. This is probably my third radio, but a Fataba 4 channel. And I handed it to Ryan. I said, this is what you're dead.
Is it 4 or 5 channel? There's an extra thing on the.
No, it's gone. It's covered.
Oh, okay.
It's a plate. So yeah. But anyway, just the guy was giving it away. It's like it feels good. I remember the feeling, and then the bracket on the back. I used to just play with, all the time. All right, you ready for this? The NiCads were still in it.
Nice.
Wow.
I got rid of them because they were well leaky all over the inside. But it was like,
I was gonna say they still work.
Well, you need that for the mass, otherwise it just doesn't feel right.
But anyway, I'm going to finish mine so we can get to Terry. But it was fun. I mean, we didn't get a lot, and Ryan was kind of bored. But these little moments, getting the transmitter and stuff. And Oh, we also got to catch up with a friend from Camp AMA. He won a scholarship for Camp AMA last year. And Jack and Ryan keep in touch. So they went there, and I had a couple of planes that one plane he flew at Camp AMA that I brought home, and I gave it back to him because I wanted him to keep flying it. And then another plane I had in my inventory. And Mason, I'm mentioning this to you because I see you, some of our photos have you teaching kids, you working with kids. And I told Jack this, I said, I know you're in the hobby. You're really good. You've moved up. I'm going to give you this plane. The rule is this plane you have to give to another kid. You have to find another young member, junior member at your club. You have to give them this plane if I'm going to give you this one. And he promised me he would. So I think that's a little mission I'd like everybody who's watching or listening is, find that one plane in your inventory that you may not fly all the time, but you may feel it's a good beginner aircraft. Give it to someone in your club. Find another club that's looking, that has junior members that you'd like to get. This inspires people to again, pay it forward, and keep the tradition going. But it's kind of like the Trojan. It's such an easy flying plane. I think when I'm done with my project, I might hand it off. But that little glider I had, I think was just a fun little 2-channel that I think someone was 3-channel actually might like. So anyway, that's my little incentive for those of you listening. Try to find a little glider plane and find someone who doesn't have to be in your club, but look around and find a kid to inspire and help build this hobby.
That's a great idea, Lee. I've been struggling with what to do about inherited airplanes and inherited components that are coming from families that have lost somebody that was a model airplaner or something, and then they really want the stuff to go to someone who would appreciate it. But we all have our personal style with our models. If it's cool, yeah, we're interested, but if it's not, it kind of doesn't make the list. And I cannot figure out what to do with the other stuff. And that is an excellent idea, especially if it's in flying condition. So that's something that I've been trying to pursue is when I inherit something, I'll try to repair it back into flyable condition and then pass it on. Because otherwise it's just passing on a project.
Right.
Yeah. So I was saying there's not many junior members at my club. Ryan is one of the 3. So the point is if you go to visit another club or ask them if they need it, otherwise attend a swap meet, or attend an event and look for those kids whose parents brought them there to watch, have them watch their eyes light up when you give them something for free and say, if learn how to fly, this can be yours. And they just think that's the craziest thing. Why are you giving me a player plane? Because I've already had my joy. Wayne Carini, who is a car collector, I've watched him all the time on TV, and he buys all these cars. He goes, I want to enjoy them. And then he does enjoy them. He goes, I got to do what I wanted. I finally got to own that car. I enjoyed it. It's time for it to find a new owner so I can buy another car I want. And I think that's kind of where I need to be right now, because I'm really capped as far as, unlike Fitz, who's got that huge garage, and hanging it from the ceiling. Exactly. But, I kind of feel like I'm at the account right now that I can comfortably control. And so I'd like to start swapping some things out. And that kind of segues to Terry, because you kind of mentioned about estates or people who have a collection. I think Terry's going to have a fun story to tell us now.
Well, I've got 8 minutes, so we might run over a little bit, but I'm going to try to be fast. All right. So I've been a bad boy. Since we last talked, I've made 3 purchases from ads on Facebook. The first 2 are...
I thought you were just refilling your drink.
Let me rephrase that. Since our last show. So the first 2 are pretty innocuous. One, somebody was selling some balsa sheets, and I got a pretty good deal. I think it was 12 sheets of 16th inch thick by 3 inch by 36 inch for $10. So it was less than $1 a sheet. So I felt pretty good about that. And that was about an hour away from home. And this was a no contact sale. So they were setting the wood outside their door. And I pulled up and it was snowing outside, and it looked like it wasn't under the roof, and I could see where the snow was hitting it. I'm like, oh man, this stuff is ruined now. But I got up there and it was actually wrapped in plastic. So all good there. So I scored some nice sheet that actually I've already used some of that on the Electrostreak. So,
wait, so you drove an hour. How much gas did you use to buy?
Hey, I mean,
No, the good thing is I was going that direction anyway, so it was just a 5-minute detour off the highway.
Oh, okay.
So,
It's the other one. It's the other one he's going to talk about. That it was shipping was $60 in petrol.
All right. So my second purchase, and the first one obviously was somebody who's not into RC hobby. They just happened to have this wood. The second one was a place about 15 minutes from where I live. And another thing, I don't know how they got it, but from what I could tell, they don't appear to be in the hobby at all. But it was a unfinished Goldberg Eagle 2 ARF. So it was mostly finished and seems to be done well, but obviously had never been flown. It included the airplane and one of those blue OS LA 46 engines.
Yeah. I'd forgotten they made an ARF version.
So did I until I saw this thing. I picked that up for a good deal. It has servos in it, Airtronic servos with the strange plugs. So I had Airtronic servos in it. The only thing that it was missing is the windscreen. But I already bought some plastic, and I was able to get the plans that has the outline for it that you can make out of flat plastic. So I'm good there. And that is what I'm going to use. Remember, I was gifted that Astro 25 with the controller. This is going to be my platform for that, at least initially. I'm still building the Robin Hood that I originally had in mind for it, but that's going to be a little bit longer project. So this is my first platform to get that Cobalt motor in the air. All right, so that's purchases 1 and purchases 2. Purchase 3, the Granddaddy. Also about an hour away from me. And I saw it on Facebook Marketplace, but not in one of the usual RC airplane ads. It was just local sales, and they didn't do a very good job of marketing it because they didn't have any keywords in there or anything. I just happened to catch that there were some airplane looking things in this pile of stuff. So I didn't commit to anything, but I asked if I could come out and look at it. I did. It was literally out in the middle of nowhere. It's a farm on hundreds of acres, not surrounded by anything else. And of course, it's in a basement. So once again, I find myself
basement sale.
Gotta ask,
walking down.
Involved.
There was. I found myself walking into a stranger's basement, but it turned out to be a good thing. So it was a lot of stuff, and I think it was inherited
for both of you.
I think it was stuff that was inherited from a relative, and they had just moved to this house. So it had been moved, and there were plastic bins full of stuff. And on the floor, it was just literally a pile of airplane parts. Some stuff was in boxes, like kits in boxes, but everything's kind of open and spilled out. There's no real organization or rhyme or reason to it. It's just a mountain of airplanes and airplane accessories. So for the faint-hearted, you would look at that and say, I'm never going to sort out this puzzle. I don't even know what's here. And because it was non-airplane moving stuff, any of the airplanes that were built, the tail surfaces had been broken off or set aside, just kind of not really well taken care of. But me and my crazy brain, I look at that and I'm like, that's potential, right? I can do something with that.
Kindling.
Right. And so I looked at that and I went through and figured out that nothing's going to be turnkey. I'm going to have to take this pile of parts and sort it into their original sections, but I'm willing to do that. And then I started looking at the plastic bins, and it's just motors, servos, a lot of 72 megahertz receivers, but it looked like the newest stuff was about 15 years old. But no real rhyme or reason to it. Some rubber power stuff, a lot of sailplane stuff, some sport plane stuff, but a lot of electric stuff, a lot of early electrics of all size, down to indoor stuff to giant stuff. So long story short, I closed the deal, and it took me 3 trips to get all this stuff. I literally, I drive a Ford Flex, which when you put the seats down, you can fit a lot of stuff in
That's
there.
A pretty good size. Yeah, that's
3 trips stuffed to the top, and I got it all home. And some of it, I won't lie, a lot of it's garbage that I'm just doing them a favor by getting rid of it. But sifting through it, I'm still finding stuff that I didn't realize was there before. A lot of boxes, and you can just go through and find unrelated things. and I posted on our Facebook page. I was going through this box of metal parts like drill bits and stuff like that. And at the bottom was this LiPo battery, a 3-cell LiPo. The leads had been stripped. They were completely exposed. And in this
all the metal bits.
The battery still measured 10 volts, and I ended up discharging it yesterday, and it took a long time to discharge. So how that didn't catch my car or their house on fire, I have no idea. But somebody was looking after me. All right, so I could go on and on about this, but basically, I'll probably never have to buy a servo again, or maybe not a motor. No, some of these servos, giant scale servos, are literally like the size of this little scale. They're just big high tech stuff and big Futaba stuff.
Scale?
Yeah, that's been replaced by more modern stuff. But there's some of that too. Just a huge wide range of different components. And for me, go ahead.
When you said motors, you mean electric motors, or you mean gas engine or glow engine or something?
Well, yes, there's some new in-box glow engines. No gas stuff, but new in-box glow engines. A lot of electric stuff. A lot of used glow engines that are not in great shape. But just what I'm trying to sort out is who this person was. But I think what happened is I bought the stash of another hoarder. I'll confess that I'm a hoarder, but I think this person was, and I'm picking up where they left off. So I could go on and on about it, but I did grab a handful of what to me are the most interesting items. So I'm going to share them with you, if that's okay.
Please.
Oh boy, this is the part I've been waiting for.
Okay. So here we have an electric propeller, and this is actually a master air screw propeller. But I guess they balanced it or smoothed it because the writing on there has been shaved off.
Yeah, the roots are kind of odd.
And you'll see why in just a second. It's a folding propeller. Can you guys see that?
Oh, variable pitch.
Sort of. It's not supposed to be variable pitch. It's supposed to be feathering. It's got a collet. It's not a collet, but a set screw adapter on the back for an electric motor. And when it twists, as the motor would in that direction, that turns it to the flying pitch. And then, I guess if you add brake and it applies torque the other way, it flattens it out and feathers it.
And it's master air screw?
Right. I used to work for Master Air Screw. I didn't know this existed.
I've never seen that
before. Is that not the coolest thing? It must not work great because obviously we're surprised to know it exists. But
it's the prototype.
You got the rare prototype.
It is such a novel little device. And there was even a couple spare blades that were in there. So they've got these bevel gears on there. And so anyway,
wow.
Those things
I saw that.
Miserable to manufacture.
Maybe sooner or later, it's all held together by screws. I'll take it out and I'll take pictures of what the inside looks like. But yeah, I first looked at it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Then I'm like, wait a minute. Wow, what's going on there? So,
that was popular when motors weren't not what they are today. So I wonder if now a modern ESC on a nice brushless with some smoothing or clever braking, how you can do different levels of braking. I wonder if that design would come back around as better useful now on a better motor.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, so I'm trying to move things along here. Ooh, it's already after 9. Bear with me. I'm going to try to be quick, or we'll just have a longer show than usual. Sue me.
We may have to just split this show up in half.
No.
For the podcast.
Claiming my time. Is that what they say in Congress? All right. You guys know that those Great Plains sanders were a big deal, and I announced a few episodes ago that Dubro's remanufacturing. So there were a few of those in there, along with the self-adhesive sandpaper that was in there. So really struck gold with that stuff. But there was one that was kind of special. So here we are. This is one of the sanding bars. You can see it's got the profile on it. But this one's unique in a way that I didn't know existed.
That's 4 feet long.
This one is 44 inches long. I knew there was a 5.5 inch. I knew there was an 11 inch. I knew there was a 22 inch version. I had no idea there was a 44 inch sanding bar.
That's like one roll of that sandpaper.
At least. So, but yeah, I mean, it's still straight. It's never been dropped, apparently. It's got one piece of sandpaper across it. So, I wonder what that would go for on eBay.
That is a tool.
Right.
And a heck of an extrusion.
Start at $399.
Starting bit.
Okay, so I told you there were some glow engines. Here's
Oh,
one of the
more.
interesting ones. A YS, what size is it? A 61 rear exhaust. So
Ooh.
I'm told these are pretty valuable engines. And it turns freely. It doesn't appear to have ever been used. So neat engine there. Your silence
Did you find
tells
out
me.
for it yet?
A what?
A pipe?
Oh, I don't know if that one comes with them because typically I think they would use a tune pipe on that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so I don't think it included one. Oh, Phil has some of those engines. All right. Well, I might ask you questions about it, Phil. I don't know if he's talking about the engine or the sander, but
I don't either. We'll figure it out. He'll
All right.
chime in.
all right. So here's a speed control. I don't know how you
Roby.
pronounce this. Is that Robbie?
I think it's
or
Roby.
Robe?
I think it's Roby.
Okay. So I was looking at this and got your manuals in German and English, of course. And it's obviously a brushed speed control. And here it is. Aluminum housing. And I figured out not long ago that it's probably actually for a boat rather than an airplane. But this is a sizable speed control, right? Oh, look at that Futaba J plugs. Is that the
G.
earlier version?
I think it's
G
G.
is the earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Molex connectors. But this thing has some mass to it. You want to guess how many amps? I'm going to cover it up here. You want to guess how many amps this handles? This big brick?
I don't know, maybe 60. Not much with those thin wires.
12.
Oh,
12.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
12.
Yeah.
12 amps.
The input maxes out at 12 volts, and then you get 12 amps of current.
It's nothing.
So,
It's an old frame rate control. Wow.
yeah. So, anyway, I
That's
thought that
huge
was a
thing.
neat little piece of electric history. And so I told you there were a lot of sailplanes and sailplane accessories. So a lot of the motors are in-runners with planetary gearboxes and gearboxes of all kinds. A whole bunch of Astroflight gearboxes or even some Astro motors, not in great shape, at least cosmetically. There's some rust on them. But one of the examples, here's a Hacker motor, a Hacker in-runner with maybe an MEC gearbox. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it does look like an MEC, doesn't it? Well, it's got a pretty thick shaft on it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to
That's
take the
good.
bait on that one, but yeah. So, like
Those Hacker
I
ones
told
are
you,
really good, though.
yeah, and there were some
Yeah.
Hacker Outrunners, just
Yeah.
a slew of stuff. And then speaking of high performance gliders, here's another one. This is a Figao, the Hacker knockoff, but with a
Oh, yeah.
planetary on it. But I mean, this is a
The
big,
Fiagio,
meaty
right?
motor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With planetary gearbox.
I need to look up the specs on this to see what kind of power you can get out of it. But to go along with this, there's just drawers and drawers of aeronaut and Graupner folding props, just all sorts of stuff like that with the hubs. So somebody along the line, as this collection moved around, was really into high performance gliders. So speaking of gliders, there was, like I mentioned, several glider kits in various stages of build. The one in particular will catch your attention, and I couldn't bring it up here, but I brought a part of it. And here it is. This is the rudder on the glider I'm talking about.
Holy crap. That's huge.
It's a balsa and ply 6.5 meter glider.
Wow.
I'll
What's
say
the
that
name
again
of
for the
rudder?
people in the back. 6.5 meter wingspan. That's 21 feet.
Yes.
So remember earlier in the show, you were talking about your Minimoa at
Yeah.
however many feet that was. It's huge. It's just absolutely huge.
What's the name of the glider?
It was an ARF by Phoenix, and I'm trying to remember what model of glider it was. I can tell you in just a minute. But again, balsa by research on it. I think it came out maybe 20 years ago, and the original versions had some issues with the wing strength on the inner panels. It's a 4-piece wing, inner panels, outer panels. But apparently they did some updates to it later on, and I think this is a later version because it has provision to put a motor in the front as well. But a lot of people ended up stripping the covering off and making their own spars and types of reinforcements. From what I gather on the original one, they had spars, which were mediocre anyway, but then they had the wing tubes that joined it to the fuselage and the outer panels. Those wing tubes weren't attached to the spars. So you had some issues there. But people said that once they got them, No, this is not really something I'm interested in keeping. So I'm hoping to move this one on to a family that will appreciate it and use it. So if anybody out there listening is interested in a lightly used big ass glider, let me know.
That is one you have to decide if you're going to walk out in the wind with. Yeah.
What'd you say, Mason?
That's the one that you have to make a conscious choice that you're going to walk outside with.
Right.
Fly away.
Exactly. And then just another novel little piece. There's lots of, I mentioned the folding props, lots of props of all kinds. And this one caught my interest. It's a wooden prop, just itty bitty.
It's a wee lass.
Yeah. What's the span on this?
4-inch?
3.5.
3.
So, and I assume it goes on a little electric motor. And this came in a little bag that had matching ones that go the other direction. So maybe there were some multi-engine projects in mind for it.
Oh, cool.
Just, neat little.
It almost looks like something you stick on a CO2 motor.
It could be. There's a CO2 cartridge in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So, who knows? Again, I'm still going through the bins. There were just plastic bins just rammed full of stuff that I'm still slowly sorting through.
Man.
So, Terry, when's the first annual Terry Dunn swap meet?
Well, again, I'm still sorting through it to decide what I want to keep, what I need to move on to somebody else, what's going in the museum. So, I don't know, but certainly I'm going to be getting rid of some of this stuff. I'm going to be throwing away some of this stuff. Lots of NiCad batteries that were in bad shape to begin with, despite the fact that they're 20 years old. They need to get gone. Just so much stuff. I'm still trying to wrap my head around all of it. I've actually put stuff in my attic here, which that's a new turning point for me, that my collection has grown to the fact that I'm outside of the shop and in the attic.
Well, qualify that. Do you have anything in the living room or in your bedroom?
No.
Okay.
But this, I'm in an office now. This is my first time ever having a dedicated office. This is where I've been sorting through the stuff. I told you the kits and kit parts were kind of on the floor. So I've been bringing kits in here, and then I open them up and try to make sure they have all the parts they're supposed to have. So I don't want to lift up the camera now, but there's a Goldberg Mirage kit on the floor behind me. 3 new in-box Fox Glow engines, a rubber band powered kit, just various and sundry things that just fun to look at. I won't say it was worth what I paid just to have the fun of going through all this stuff, but I've had a lot of fun going through this stuff. That might have been everything I brought up here for now. So anyway, just a small sample. I'm anxious for you guys to come up and you can paw through it all too.
Yeah, we'll be seeing you in June, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that right?
July.
Yeah.
Oshkosh.
Oshkosh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to tell Fitz or let Fitz know he may be having to drive himself or fly, and we'll have to pick him up.
Yeah, fly into Appleton. We'll come get you. It's cool.
Yeah. Fitz is going, why? Fitz, you may have to load up my trailer with a couple of your planes because I head to Muncie first for Nats. And then the week after Nats is AirVenture.
Oh, okay. So you're just going to stay in that area.
So I think Austin and I are driving to Muncie for a week and then driving to AirVenture after that. So
gotcha.
If you want to put planes in my trailer and I just bring them up to Nats, I can do that. If you want to put some stuff in there, but otherwise you're going to have to find a ride. What's this?
Just another thing that was in here.
Hand
launch, pre-discus launch. I think this was a Hobby Lobby thing, right? Didn't they have these?
I don't know.
Came out of
Eastern Europe. Looks like something Fitz would have seen on his trip to Europe.
Yeah.
There were probably 20 of them on the shelf up there.
Well, yeah. It's an old hobby shop.
Yeah, fiberglass fuselage. Yeah.
It's kind of cute.
Yeah. So, all right. So, I'm done with that, but I'm excited by it. I'm invigorated by all the new toys to play with. Now my problem is focusing, right? So I need to focus on the Electrostreak. I need to focus on finishing that Eagle 2. And I had stuff I was already working on before that. So too many toys, not enough time.
I'm going to jump in here and do some business. Both of you, well, I have your photos, Fitz. So I will share those on our Facebook page in a gallery from your Europe trip. Terry, I'd like for you to give us some snapshots of your hoard, your basement hoard, so we can show some of the good things that you've found.
Okay, it's scattered to the wind now, but
That's fine. Just take some snapshots. I'm sure those who are listening or watching would love to see some of the stuff, especially if you can give us better pictures of the glider. Maybe put it together.
The big one?
Or just lay it out on the lawn and get one big photo, and then lay down next to it.
I forgot to mention the one kicker in that. It did not include the wing tubes, so I'm going to have to figure that part out.
Well, Mason can get you some. Mason's got
he's got all sorts of
carbon fiber machines there. They just wing tubes, no problem.
You tried to go to Home Depot get some plumbing.
Yeah, right.
No, do not. Do not stick a PVC pipe in there.
A pipeline you can walk through. Yeah.
So we'll have those photos on there.
Was that all the business you were talking about?
Yeah, that was just letting people know. We'll put photos of the stuff we talked about and up on our show on our Facebook page.
I doubt I'll be taking. Well, I might take a few of these things with me, but my club swap meet, the Green Bay Model Airplane Club, is going to be in Denmark, Wisconsin on February 5th. And as I mentioned before, swap meets around here on Sundays. So it's Sunday morning, 8 to 11. If you go to our website or our Facebook page, the specifics are on there. So I would love to see some Wisconsin people out there. Come say hi. I'll bring some stickers.
Yeah, take some video. Maybe do a live show if you can get some Wi-Fi in there.
Yeah, your Georgetown video is doing really well. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is that everything?
No,
Are we done now?
Mason, you want to add any last minute words? Thank you for sticking in with us and having fun, hanging out with us.
Yeah. I was supposed to go meet some coworkers for bowling, and I much prefer model airplanes.
Dang.
Hopefully they're not watching.
Was that 3 hours ago? I am so sorry.
But at least I have an alibi now that they can actually watch. So
Totally forgot.
It's a huge honor. I feel like the itty bitty amount of fame that I've gotten in my life was from meeting you guys and getting to be on your show. So I really, really appreciate it. And thanks for inviting me on, Lee. It was a nice surprise, and I look forward to talking to you guys and sharing more aviation news as we go forward.
Like I said, please send me a link if you're going to do another live show, because I did happen to listen to you one time, and luckily for you, we're not able to chat and make cut jokes and make you screw up, because I think you were reading the comments. But I would love to listen to another live event for you.
Well, thanks so much for letting me be on. I really enjoy it, and I love the show. I am your biggest fan, and I listen to them all. So
thanks Mason.
Well, thank you, Mason. And I'm going to nudge you along on your Stratolaunch RC project. I would encourage all our listeners to do the same.
I would appreciate that too. Absolutely.
All right, somebody take us home. Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. Thanks to everybody who was commenting and listening live. I think we ignored them for the most part tonight, and I apologize for that. We'll do better next time.
Well, I don't think so. I was listening, reading their comments. Some were.
Well, we didn't respond to them like we usually try to do.
We love all of our followers, and especially those of you who have stuck on for the past 2 hours and 16 minutes. That's longer than a movie.
Depends on the movie.
All right, Fitz, take us home.
Me? Oh, okay.
That's your job. That's what you signed up for.
Did I?
The jet lag is really kicking in.
What day is it? Who am I?
I'm on a show.
All right. Well, hey, it's been great hanging with you guys. It's been nice to be back in the swing of things. I think we've already said it, but Mason, thanks so much for joining us. Great to see and talk to you. Hopefully we'll get to meet in the flesh at some point in the not too distant future. But I look forward to see your exploits. And
I will add, if you guys want to watch a fun chat, when go look at our YouTube channel at RC Roundtable. Scroll back to 3 years or so when we were at AMA Expo with Mason and
so
Chris
fun.
Wolf and oh my God, Red Jensen and Dan Cray. We interviewed them. Yeah. We had a blast. Go look at our YouTube channel. Watch that video. It was a blast hanging out with you.
It was.
Yeah, it's great. We had a kind of a forum kind of thing on the stage, right?
Yeah.
So
we should do that again. We
should. We need to find an event or something.
Yeah. Well, we need to come out to California. You get us seats on that Stratolaunch.
Awesome. Speaking of Dan, you still work with him?
Yep.
Is he still there?
We'll still see him quite frequently. Yeah.
Oh, great. Give him our regards, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, we also met him at the AMA Expo West last time. He let me drive his Tesla, so I owe him. So, yeah, thanks so much, Mason, for joining us. You and your plane there, and the dollar bill that you have stuck to the wall for some reason.
It's a Stratolaunch dollar bill. It actually, yeah.
Oh, actually, it went on a ride. You paid for about a couple of microseconds of fuel. All right. Well, thanks for your patronage. I appreciate you hanging with us and listening to us too when we're not in. We'll be sure to say bad things about you on the show from now on. Notice you know you're listening. And everybody, thanks for joining us in this live episode of RC Roundtable. And those in the chat, as always, thank you so much. You guys are what makes the show what it is. We do it, for us, but you're really the icing on the cake. So I really appreciate your patronage, and we love to meet up with some of you guys when we can. So on that note, I think we will sign off from this, at least for me, chilly night, and we will talk to you guys later. You guys got any last words for the last couple of seconds?
Nope. I think you
Thanks,
said
guys.
it all.
A lot of fun. Until next time.
Until next time, we'll see you later. Please visit our website at rcroundtable.com, where you can send us comments and suggestions or listen to our other great podcasts, where you will also find links to our iTunes and social media sites. Thanks for listening.